Oh, you see that Bears game last week?
Dude, the Bears are my favorite volleyball team.
That's wow, news to me. Welcome everybody to this episode of the Cheap Seat Critics Podcast, season 27, episode 166. I think episode in the season. No, episode overall. I know, a little confusing. Anyway, with me today we have.
Hello, everybody. I'm one of your hosts, Geeky Writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Sprinks. And hey, if you're listening from Chicago, because why not? If you're listening from Chicago, thanks for listening. You can follow for any updates and whatnot over on our socials, such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blueski, LetterBoxd, where we have average out numbers and graphs of everything we do. We also have a TikTok account. We have visual side of things over on YouTube and Rumble with our slideshow of whatever it is we are covering and our PNG tubers, but maybe not your cup of tea, not your foyer. Don't worry about that. We got podcast sites out there as well where you're possibly listening from. But as you can probably tell and guess, today we are covering planes, trains, and automobiles for a, I suppose, Thanksgiving connected special.
Yeah, I mean, there's not that many out there.
No, we debated about free birds, but maybe we'll do that in the future.
Maybe. We did do Thanksgiving, though.
We did. That was last year. We got that already up. And I guess, well, you said Thanksgiving. Yes, we did that last week. We have Thanksgiving, which we did last year. That was my confusion.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, with that, let's start. We're going to go with histories, and then we'll do facts. Then we'll have our coverage. We're going to go with a 3-act structure this time, being that this movie was over 3 decades ago. And there's 3 of us here, so seemed fitting. And then we'll go into summaries and ratings and wrap it up. So let's start with histories. Let's go with Crimson first.
All right. So this is a film that I have seen 4 or 5 times, probably. It's one I've seen a few times with the family, but it is not a tradition. It is a movie that I believe I introduced to Sprinks, if I remember correctly. I'm sure that will be covered in his history if I'm right or wrong. I feel like that's accurate. I have not seen it, I think, since I showed Sprinks, from what I can recall, and it's been years. So I saw it recently for the podcast, obviously, and that's about it.
So you think you haven't seen this since, to your knowledge, you showed it to me.
Yes,
Okay, that is possibly 2019.
that sounds about right.
All right, let's then go to writer.
I have heard of this movie, but that's just because I had connected weirdly to one of the random facts about it. Um, but otherwise, this is my first time. I essentially knew nothing about it. I only knew that it existed, and I didn't know anything else besides that it existed.
Ah, first time. Lovely.
And you didn't know that it revolved around Thanksgiving or anything?
Nope.
Okie doke. I guess I'll go last now. I've seen this movie at least 5 or 6 times. I feel like this was a movie that was on TV that I saw scenes here and there during family gatherings and whatnot, or maybe it was playing at family Thanksgivings, but I never sat down and watched the whole thing because other things were happening. So what I have logged to my knowledge is of 2019. I saw it all in its entirety. That was 50-50 right now if that was with Crimson or not. Could have been earlier than that. But I saw the movie also in 2021, in 2024, and for the podcast. So that's what I know I have actually logged of seeing this movie. I think when it comes to Thanksgiving movies, I would put this as the knowledgeable traditional one that people would be like, "Oh, let's watch a Thanksgiving movie." This one would come up, or Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving. I think over that of the Thanksgiving horror movie or Thanksgiving or Freebirds or any other option. I think,
I think people would just put on, like, the Macy's Day Parade or
or
something like
yeah,
that,
Put on
or
either live
sports
or
or sports stuff.
Yeah, it's usually the football game or the Macy's Day Parade. Though I have seen Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving come up quite a lot in terms of movies. Not so much for this one. This is not common, I guess, from at least from my perspective, as far as the Thanksgiving movies goes. But also, I don't think Thanksgiving movies are generally traditional. So
I agree. I think it's mostly parade and sports, or no TV, and it's just family time.
yeah,
True, true. Of choices to do, or what would be on TV. Yeah, I just meant in the terms of movies.
Yeah, like we said in the beginning, it's a pretty small pool of recognizable
Yeah,
Thanksgiving films. I mean, you got a plethora of Hallmark and Lifetime films.
true. Of any holiday you can imagine. So, all right. Well, with that, we'll go into facts that I have here. I have a little bit of a handful. The film's initial release date was November 25th, 1987. So it did come out in time for Thanksgiving of that year to be set that time, not like I don't know, maybe like a Christmas movie released in summer or something crazy like that. So it has a runtime of 1 hour and 33 minutes, which goes into a fact I have later, which is interesting. Its budget was 15 million USD, and it received a box office of 49.5 million domestic only. This was not an international movie.
Darn, no sequel.
No.
that explains that.
They made their money back.
This movie is rated R. There was a possibility of a chance that this movie could have been PG, but there is one thing in this movie that made it an R rating.
The nude photos, probably.
Nope.
That
No,
didn't.
there is
And the
one
excessive
scene.
cursing.
The excessive cursing is it. That one scene of the F bombs made this movie rated R, and I think most television programs, rather than just bleeping all of that, they just cut that scene out when showing on TV.
I can't see the nude photos being in a PG movie, even at the time. That's kind of weird.
Maybe for the time. Its
How
genre
times have
is
changed.
comedy. Oh yeah, its comedy is listed. Yeah, its genre is listed as comedy drama. And it was directed and written by John Hughes, which is a first for the podcast. We finally got around to a John Hughes film. I guess also in that vein, also first time seeing a Steve Martin and a John Candy film on the podcast. So it took a while.
Yeah.
Um, but John Hughes has been credited as directing and writing such things such as 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Weird Science, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and Uncle Buck. I also found out he, at least from IMDb, he has 8 credits for being a director, but he has 53 credits for being a writer. And some of his credits just for writing are Pretty in Pink, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and Home Alone.
Yeah, that
Lots
sounds
of
cool.
recognizable
That's
titles.
yeah, makes a lot of classic stuff.
Well, he was certainly a big name of the 80s. Next, I got some fun facts here. I got 7. Tried to limit myself because I found a lot. And audience, take these with a grain of salt of how true or false they may be. Found them on the internet. So the first one is on the instruction from John Hughes. Eddie McClurg, who is the car rental ed, woman in St. Louis, was told to improvise her lines on the phone. He was told to simply riff a fake phone call conversation with someone about Thanksgiving plans, and she came up with talking to her sister about that she can't cook and whatnot just off the top of her head real quickly. And when John Hughes asked like how she came up with that, McClurg just to kind of implement her own life into it. So she just kind of spoke truthfully about what a conversation would be. McClurg also claims that to this day, many people come up to her asking if they are fucked.
I'm not too surprised by that.
Yeah, that's not surprising. There's there sometimes the character you're playing just delivers such an iconic quote that's just your life when for
Oh yeah.
playing.
It's like the actor for Trevor in GTA 5. People
Oh, Stephen
constantly come
Ogden.
up to him and yell him to scream in their face and stuff.
He's so annoyed. He doesn't want to be remembered as that.
Oh, he hates it. He wants to be known as an actor, not as a game character.
Yeah, he wants to be known as the guy from Shoot, what
Walking
was it?
Dead.
No, it wasn't the
That
TV
one
show.
episode of Person of Interest.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, where he's like a jarhead or squid or whatever he gets called.
Yeah, at the bar, yeah.
Yeah. Next,
Jarhead.
I have here Steve Martin was convinced to join the production after favoring two scenes he had read from the script. One being the seat adjustment scene in the car and the F word back and forth at the car rental desk.
That's what sold him, huh?
That's what sold him.
All right. I mean, I've heard stranger stories of being sold on a script, so
The exterior of the aircraft in flight is a reused shot of the 707 flying through the storm from the movie Airplane, which was also released by Paramount Pictures.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. I wonder if they changed any like color filters or anything on it.
Maybe it didn't look like, well, no, it's still dark at night. Could have still been part of the storm. But uh, next, I have director John Hughes was known for staging improvisational moments with his actors during filming. He was not satisfied with Owen, which was Gus's son, um, with his introduction after several takes. So he privately told Dylan Baker, who plays Owen, to wipe spit in his hand before shaking hands with Neal Page. And Steve Martin was not expecting that, so that's the take they went with. And Steve Martin was laughed by the crew and ran off to wash his hands after that encounter.
Did you find if he was upset about it at all?
I did not know. So, uh, next I have, which
I
this
guess that
one,
spices
oh,
the scene. Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm sorry.
oh
I'm
yeah,
just commenting on it. Yeah.
no, it did. Next one I have here, which was very interesting to me. According to the editor Paul Hirsch, the original cut of this movie was 3 hours and 40 minutes long. He and John Hughes edited it down to 2 hours. This version was then test screened and was probably used to edit trailers for the film, which is why they show a lot of deleted scenes and different footage in the trailers. The movie was then edited down again to 1 hour and 33 minutes for a theatrical release.
Where's the super cut?
According to the editor, the 2 hour version still exists. It's probably locked away in Paramount vaults or something.
I want to see the 3 hour one, twice the length.
Almost a 4 hour version of this movie.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Uh,
Honestly, I can't imagine what a 4-hour version of this film would look like.
I feel like it would have a lot more slow scenes.
Undoubtedly.
But I think it could help the ending. Maybe a little tease on my summary, but next,
Yeah, I agree with that blanket statement. I don't know what you're getting at, but I agree.
uh, Neal Page, his house was a built set from scratch, consisting of 7 rooms and taking 5 months to complete. It cost upwards of 100 grand, which angered Paramount executives.
I'm in agreement. That's stupid. Just find a house.
It was very well used. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a good looking house, but I kind of am in agreement. Just find a house.
Yeah, find a house. Especially with how little that ended up being in this film.
Maybe
Yeah.
there was more in the 4 hour cut, but what we have, it's completely waste of money. $100,000 on that.
And the last fact I have, which might be the most interesting one, John Hughes originally wanted Tom Hanks for the role of Neal Page and John Travolta for the role of Del Griffith. Hanks, unfortunately,
I
was unavailable since he was busy shooting Big, and Paramount executives did not want Travolta in the movie because he was considered box office poison.
I could see Tom Hanks. I cannot see Travolta.
I'm looking
Travolta
up.
as Del Griffith, I think, would have been terrible.
Yeah, that would have been something. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Also, Steve Martin's mannerisms, I think, are more fitting than Tom Hanks. But then again, at the time of the 80s, Tom Hanks, not necessarily that big of an actor, but coming off of Splash, which he worked with John Candy on, maybe would have helped a connection between the two actors. But
I can see him do this role.
yeah. Anyway, those are the facts I have. Did any of you have any additional facts?
Uh, no,
Okay. Okay, I
I
see.
do,
Are you sure? Are
but
you sure, Crimson?
Am I sure that I have facts?
No additional facts to give.
Nothing that comes to mind.
Okay, cool. I was just checking because I know sometimes you go, "Did you know
Did you know
that?"
John Candy is in Home Alone?
There we go. Thank you for the fact. And writer, you said you had something?
I do. Yeah. Jerry Ryan, one of my favorite actresses from Star Trek, was originally an extra in this film. She was going to be an extra on the bus, but John Hughes ended up cutting her from the film because she couldn't stop laughing at Steve Martin, and she couldn't stop acting. She couldn't stop laughing. That was the problem.
Jerry Ryan. Is that 7?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay. Sprinks, you would know her as Tara from Leverage.
Oh, gross.
Yeah. There you go.
Uh,
I know her from Tara from Leverage too, just for the record. But 7 of 9 is
I just
definitely
said that.
more iconic.
Sprinks
yeah, it's
just
so gross.
doesn't like that character.
Yeah, because
Gross that
I
she was
haven't seen
cut,
Star Trek
or
that much. Maybe she's in the 4-hour version.
Probably.
I doubt it. I like I said, she
Yeah, probably
couldn't.
just cut fully out.
Yeah, she's probably cut fully out because she was a 19-year-old actor and she couldn't contain her laughter because the actors were just doing such a good job at being comedic actors, and she just got her part completely cut out of the film for it.
Gotcha. Um, well, with that being all the facts, I did forget one piece of history for myself. Um, Recently, I did see the John Candy "I Like Me" documentary, which did help me a little, or made me feel a little more attached to this film on this viewing.
Cool.
Interesting.
How long was
I
the
mean,
documentary?
Uh, like an hour 50, maybe 2 hours.
Pretty long one.
documentaries do that though. It's kind of like uh, I'm sure I would still love Lord of the Rings. I just wouldn't be obsessed with them without all the behind the scenes stuff that went with it.
Yeah,
Adds
the
value to what's
documentary.
present.
Yeah, the documentary gave me more of a liking to John Candy. I already liked him beforehand, but just more of the man was very cool.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we will go into now the coverage of the film. We're doing 3 act structure, as I said before. We're going from the first act all the way, kind of half-hour increments. So the first act all the way up to essentially when they leave the inn, right before they have their breakfast at the diner.
Gotcha.
So they get stolen
Oh,
from. Oh no, never mind. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Gotcha.
yeah, that just reminded me. I thought I wrote down a fact that I've missed. Something about the 3-hour version of the movie. Uh, to help explain that for dinner at the inn, they ordered pizza, and Dell, not having that much cash, gave the pizza boy $1, and that pizza boy comes back later and is the one who robs them of their money. So the
Uh,
context is missed there. So it just looks like a normal burglar in the movie, in this version. And then also they get beer that they order, and that's the beer that explodes on the bed.
so he paid $1, or was the dollar a tip?
The dollar was the tip.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I'm like,
Okay.
he wouldn't pay for the full pizza and just gave $1 when he had
They
cash.
paid. They
Man,
paid for the pizza, and uh, I think Neil wanted a salad, and Dell said they didn't have salad, so he ate the pizza not fully willingly.
okay.
So, but that was all
That's a
cut.
that's a little weird. Uh, Griffin seems like the kind of person that would pay a full tip.
He does. But hey, we don't have to apply that as character damage. It's not in there.
Nope, it's not in
That's
there.
true. Yeah, I'm happy that it's not in there because I think that would have damaged the character otherwise.
Yeah, and then again, that's coming off of my memory. I didn't actually copy that one and write it down. So yeah, it's something like that. But just context of more of that rather than just saying it in the movie. But I think the context is enough in the movie to be believable. So anyhow, Let us start all of this with writer for first timer.
Alrighty, I'm gonna start. Get this at the beginning.
Oh, and this can be
Um,
popcorn with an X,
okay, cool.
just in case.
I'm still gonna start from the beginning. I think the corporate boardroom scene is actually very, very like it's it's very well done comedically in that soft, awkward kind of way because they're all just waiting for their boss to make a decision and nobody's talking. And it's kind of implied that if they do talk, the boss like looks up and what is waiting for input, pretty much maybe.
Yeah, it'll just
Um,
delay them further.
yeah, it'll just delay him further. And uh, and obviously you have the shots that kind of really highlight Neal Page's characters, like his the rush for him to want to get out of there as quickly as possible. Um, to the point where he even forgets his gloves when he has time to leave. So it's a very very good way to bounce off between the two characters. Though that being said, I do wish we kind of had a resolution with his friend here because they're both flying back to the same area, evidently. So I'd be curious to see how the other person got home, or if they just didn't at all. That would have been
Oh, how John got back? Yeah.
yeah. Um, Obviously, it didn't happen. This wasn't really relevant to the story, but it would have been interesting to see if they ended up concluding, just giving us a hint that he ended up being stuck in New York because he wasn't willing to put in the effort that Neil was.
Or if Neil called John on Thanksgiving, like, "Hey, did you make it home?" He's like, "Yeah, I took the plane. They fixed it, so I got there in time."
If they did that, that would have been way too much like Home Alone. I think.
I don't know. I mean, I think it would be pretty funny that they went through all this trouble for literally nothing if the plane did get there on time.
It would have been funny if the shot of at the end of Neil and Dell holding the trunk walking towards the house, John drives by in his car.
I suppose. I think it would be. I would prefer if it was a bit more obvious than just a background thing. Maybe if he drives by them and talks to them or something.
Okay. I just think it would be more fitting as like an Easter egg to show like he did arrive, but it's not a bragging situation or
So I'm
that
not really.
important of a
Yeah.
character.
So the reason I'm not fully on board with your suggestion, Crimson, is because the way I would want to do it, it would be to illustrate the importance that of the journey that Neil Page has been on. Like his, as he says, he's a bit wiser after their time together.
Oh, he's a changed
Um,
man.
he's a changed man. So I feel like the comedy of that might undercut the importance of that, which is why I would kind of stray away from him getting that sort of ending. I would still be interested to see like what happened to him, but I wouldn't want it to have been so simple that the plane was fixed.
Well, if we were to go with the scenario, I think his reaction would matter the most to it. Like, if he gets all pouty and angry, like, "Ah, I wasted all this time," then yeah, I think his character would regress. But if he like wrapped his arm around Dell and gives like a smile, like, "Yeah, it's worth it," or something along those lines, then I think his character growth would stay intact.
Okay, all right. I'm still not fully on board with that, but that did move me a little bit. So
Anyway, with the first scene, I do like that this whole movie is essentially a rush of trying to get somewhere, and the first scene is dragging.
well, because he is in a rush,
It's like,
but it's adding to the feeling of it
Yeah,
dragging.
but it's not constant movement like pretty much every other scene of something added. This is the long silence and the comedy of the close-up shots on it on people's faces, and I think for a starting introduction to the movie, it worked very well.
yeah, it was about 2 minutes of silence.
Yeah. And definitely felt like a John Hughes type humor of the
Based
awkwardness.
based off the movies you listed, I can see it.
Yeah,
Not that I've
it
seen
it
that many of
definitely
those.
it definitely fits, and it doesn't break the tone of the film going forward, which is also important.
Yeah, and not sure. As I mean, Crimson, you brought up a lot of people in this movie. I don't know if you recognize. I don't have the actor's name written down, but the guy who played John is Ferris Bueller's dad.
I didn't recognize him as that. I recognized him as something else, but I couldn't put my finger on it. But yeah, there's a lot of people that I
Yeah,
recognized.
I will say. I guess I'll just go. One of the most shocking ones that I seem to always forget he's in this movie is Kevin Bacon.
Such a random cameo. Him just racing to the cab.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, so that was Kevin Bacon. All right,
yeah, it is a young
I
like
thought it was crazy.
Footloose.
Yeah,
Oh, young Footloose Kevin Bacon, but I just always forget he's in this movie.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
All right, Crimson, let's go to you.
All right. So at 5 minutes and 28 seconds, when Neil is chasing after the stolen cab, there's just this weird piece of clothing that comes from the cab POV, and my guess is it's from the crew behind the camera dropped the article of clothing, or some person off the street threw it to interfere in the movie. But there's just this random article of clothing that gets thrown from, it seems, the angle of where the camera is from, which leads me to believe it's a crew member article of clothing.
What was the timestamp again?
5 minutes and 28 seconds.
I'll see if
I
I can see
honestly have
this.
no idea what you're talking about, so I'm just gonna have to take your word for that
Yeah,
one.
I don't know. It was just a weird random thing that popped up that I had to rewind. I'm like,
Oh,
did we see anything? This is weird. I thought he like dropped something the first time I saw it, and then he didn't. It just came from the camera direction.
I can believe that it's something from a cameraman or crew placing it there, but I feel like it's just random debris in a New York street.
I don't. I don't know. I'm leaning towards it was crew member dropped. I don't think it was intentional though.
Yeah. Well, if you want to talk, no, it's not this act, but is it this act? No. There's something that's like quote unquote crew member doing that I think is so funny.
Hmm. Well, I guess keep it in mind.
Yeah. Um, I'll go to another point that I think is actually pretty darn cool is the opening credits before the title drives by, quote unquote. The audio that plays is a plane, then a train, and then a car.
Yeah,
Ooh, yeah.
That was cool. Also, having I guess I saw this movie last year, but I'm like, I would have an objective nick to this movie if there's only one train because it's plural in the title. I'm like, we see multiple planes, we see multiple cars and automobiles. Is there only one train? But then it was fixed for me. I'm like, okay, there's more than one train.
they have
An
the
S at the
intercity
end of a word
trains.
doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily mean plural, though. It could be talking about a subject.
I suppose so, but
So I don't think it would have been an English issue if they didn't do that. Because it's talking about the topic of planes, trains, and automobiles, not necessarily that there's several of each.
I see. Okay. But still, it was solved. There was more than one train for me. So, with that, let's go to writer.
yeah. I Neil seems like the kind of person that would try to get his money back after he didn't get the cab.
I did have that written down of I feel like there was a scene missing of him arguing with the lawyer to get his money back. It was hectic. He had to chase the cab down, but I do feel like something was kind of absent. A
It does,
glance at least.
yeah, it does
It's missing
cut
a
from that to
resolution.
this, cuts that to the airport. So we don't exactly know how Neil got there.
Yeah, yeah.
But
All we would
I think if he
really
tried to go
need.
back to find the attorney, he'd be gone. That's where I lean.
Uh, Well, I mean, then the attorney just got another cab instantly, which means it's just that easy. So he wouldn't be paying
Yeah, I
anything in
mean,
the
as
first
soon as the
place.
cab leaves and Neil notices it's going, the attorney's already trying to flag down another taxi. So I'm in belief that Neil wouldn't find that attorney again.
I don't think he needs to find him, but I don't think he needs to get reach him in time. But there could definitely be a scene. It would be a little bit of a repeat of a beat with the what happened in the race. It's just you could see the attorney getting into his cab, so he couldn't go get his money back. That's all you. I would think I would need to kind of resolve what happened here, because I don't think Neil's the kind of person that would have tried to get his money back because he didn't get the cab that he was promised.
I think if he had the opportunity to see the attorney again, he would.
I think he would yell at the cab for leaving, like, "Hey, bring back my cab, you cab stealer," and then turn to the lawyer and like, "You better be here with my money," and then run off after the cab. I think that could be
That
enough.
would work
His
too.
acknowledgement of losing his
That
money and
that would
also chasing
work,
after the
yeah.
cab.
That would work. But with how stingy that guy is in being New York,
He wouldn't have
not
stayed,
attacking New Yorkers, but yeah, he would not have stayed.
but
Yeah,
it does
I
keep
don't.
Neil intact in that scenario.
Yeah, so I do see that as a bit of a nick to Neil that there was no really a follow through with that because he's not necessarily stingy with his money, but he's very uh, protective of his assets.
True. Would you say it's a part of Neil's character that he's not fully observant?
I kind of have to say that because it's a fucking problem otherwise.
Okay. I am also agreeing that it is a part of Neil's character that he's not fully observant because it happens multiple times in the movie.
I think
I
he
I
lives in his own bubble. He doesn't really
yeah
care about the outside world unless it directly
yeah
affects him at some point.
I do think there are times where that limit is pushed. I would call it more exaggerated nicks to his character, not really breaking his character because it is a trait that he has, but it becomes cartoonish a couple times in the film.
A little, yeah. Like, because it's
Like
in the
socks
act
in a sink.
when
Yeah,
yeah, when he puts his card to pay for the room, for the in room, and it gets mixed with Dell's card. Not seeing Dell give a card and just thinking that his card is coming back to him, that's fine to me. But they cut before showing Gus give Dell's card back, which then I think would, if observant enough, Neil would notice.
yeah,
If
That seems
observant
cut.
enough. But
yeah.
I believe it that a human could make that mistake though.
Yeah, I believe that. Like, see that I can buy is him not really buying to that. The socks and the sink stuff though, that to me was kind of crossing a line because he walked out of the shower the night before and would have seen the socks at that point.
That possibly, if
He
the
also saw
socks
that there
were
was no
there.
towels left and he grabbed a pair of
That yeah, that I have an idea for, because it is pretty much state or shown by stating that Dell took his shower first. When asked like who wants to shower first, Dell went first, and then Neil went.
Yeah,
But I think it's far too cartoonish that when Neil went to go take a shower, the bathroom looked like that.
and he
I am
didn't
more in line
notice.
thinking that when Neil was in the shower, Dell was still doing things in the bathroom.
That's what would have to happen for it to make sense. That was a kind of an issue I took was how did he enter the room and not notice the giant mess
Yeah.
unless Dell was in there while he was in the shower? In which case, how did he not hear Dell and how did Dell not talk?
Yeah,
It is well established Dell talks all the time.
yeah, and then that to add on to that, right? There's also the facet that um again, it's just this that would play more into the awkwardness that they're both not gay. They crack a joke about that earlier on, so they actually wouldn't. It's out of character for Doug Griffin to even do that, at least
Yeah.
willingly or consciously, because obviously he doesn't care when he's asleep. But that's not something he would do consciously, which is go in there while the person he just met is in the shower. So I do take issues with
There's no
that.
right way around with how the scene is.
Yeah, there's
There's
gonna be
something
something wrong.
fundamentally wrong with it.
Yeah, and that I do think that falls under like that it takes the levels of uh his observation to unbelievability. Whereas like
Yeah, it is. It works well for the comedy aspect, but it is probably something on the cutting room floor of the editing team that took out too much context.
maybe
I don't even know what context would fix it.
because
Because,
if it's
like I
like
said,
it's
if he came in and it was messy, then he's blind.
What
If
if
Dell did it while he was in the shower, then he's deaf, and it's weird that Dell didn't talk.
I'm trying to think, what if like the light didn't work and he walked into it dark and then the
that's
light came on when
too
he's in the shower?
that's too convenient. Like I said, that's just
True, I'm
that's
just
just an
thinking of a way
ingrained
around it
inconvenience. Yeah, I like I said,
because then
there's
it
gonna be a
would be a
problem with
shock.
this. Yeah, there's gonna be a problem with this scene. Like no matter what we take away from it, though.
Yeah, don't know how to rewrite it.
So this is definitely a case where yeah, the comedy is there, but it definitely does damage to the film itself, be it the characters or the plot.
Yeah, punchline falls flat if there's no setup. So, uh, okay, glad I guess we all agree on that. I forget whose point that was, but let's go to Crimson because that
All right.
last point was not about the clothing in the street.
So it's an overarching question. Is it too convenient that Dell knows enough connections everywhere he goes?
No,
Because he's been on the travel for 8 years.
at least 8 years.
Yeah.
I
And
would say
that's when
no.
his wife died, and I don't think he was traveling with her because
Doesn't necessarily have to be traveling with her, but could have been. That's still what he does when she was still around.
he traveled to sell shower curtain hangers or something, or rings, maybe. It's hard to say. We don't have anything talking about his life before her dying, really. Um, but 8 years seems pretty safe since her death. He's been traveling.
Yeah,
And is it too much where he knows too many people? Is it too convenient?
It's a hard line to walk. I would definitely label it as convenient that it doesn't have to try too hard in some areas. In which case, like if he didn't have a connection, say in uh, where they ended up separating in the at the end of act in the middle of Act Two, and
in Wichita, or
yeah, in Wichita.
was it Wichita,
Well, not Wichita. I think it's not Wichita. It's where the town they
St.
got to
Louis,
after the bus trip. Yeah, St. Louis. Once they separated in St. Louis for no, they didn't. Yeah, no, they did separate in St. Louis for a bit,
St. Louis
right?
is
Yeah,
where they split to go for
yeah,
the rental car.
yeah. We can see him selling stuff, but I think if we saw him make a long-term contact during that selling process, I would be able to buy it more to show that he's also like he's a good salesman, but he makes connections really quickly. So like if he exchanges business card with somebody, that's probably the only bit I would need to be it for it to fall completely out of the convenient category for me. As it stands right now, I do think it is an overused character trait to the point of convenience, but it's not necessarily damaging to the story.
What do you think, Sprinks?
I I've said I think it's fine in his character that after all this time he's constantly moving. He's a moving man. He doesn't have a home, and this is how he gets around. And I think in those at least 8 years, he would have made connections around of how to travel and traverse to places, which is getting connections with people. And I think that's believable in the chances where he brings it up that he knows somebody.
It's a big country,
Now,
though.
what I say is more convenient is that he has these people's numbers to contact because this is not the time of cell phones. So the fact he knows someone that's fine, but able to get in contact with that person is where I have the convenience.
I mean, that would be fixed if he had like a Rolodex or something on him.
True, or like a notepad full of numbers or something that he could go through. But the fact that he just like I know a guy and knows the number I find a little more of the convenience because that's a lot of numbers to memorize.
Yeah,
Because not just the people in the movie he brings up are the people he knows. I'm sure he knows more people than that, which is more numbers on top of that.
yeah. And I guess okay, for me, I'm kind of in the writer camp where I do see it crossing the line to the convenient side. Not enough to really damage the film to how egregious it is, but I do view it as convenient. And this kind of, actually, I'll save the I'll save my point later. Go on. That's it.
I'll go with an overarching question I had that I think I would like or have a want for, but I don't think it's needed in the movie, is why is Dell going to Chicago?
Okay, well, that was the question I was about to ask.
Oh,
uh, was he actually going to Jamaica or was he joking? And yeah, why is he going this way?
oh, with the rum thing? I think that was a joke.
Yeah,
That was all just like where the alcohol in the little container was like from.
yeah, because I think it is an actual relevant question because he was going to take a plane, so it's not like he was just going around and then he decided to follow Neil
He's
because he
not
was
going there on a
friendly.
whim. It seems like anyway.
There's
No, they're on
intent
the same
behind
plane
he
to
had to take the
Chicago.
plane. So, I
But then
do
when we
actually
get
think it's required
to
to know why.
Chicago, he's just sitting at the train station.
Yes. So, I think it is more of a need and less of a want to know 'cause it's pivotal for his journey as a character. He has wants outside of this movie. What does he want to do in Chicago? It's not tied to Mary, it's not established to be tied to Mary or anything. And that's something they could easily done where he's like, "Yeah, this is where we buried her," or something. I don't know. They could do whatever they want, but because there's nothing, I do find that as an issue.
I fall also that it's a. I do think I'm leaning towards it being an issue, problem, etc. But in a weird way, it it kind of falls in line with his character, even if it's not addressed as well, because there's the aspect of where he goes with the flow, and in the case of Neil, he saw someone who was uh, kind of in need, and that's kind of why he starts going through the motions to help him get there. That doesn't explain why his initial reason to get there is, though.
Yeah, that's my biggest hurdle. But you explained of him just going with the flow with Neil. Totally understand. And that makes sense with him. But him taking a plane is his own doing. That is nothing to do with Neil.
Yeah. He was in New York to get to Chicago on the same flight. But why Chicago for his destination? I mean, that's why I say I don't think it's needed because over the course of the movie, it's it doesn't need to be brought up because I don't think that's the message of the movie they're trying to sell. But the want of a reason why he's just going there, like even if it's just small. I'm trying to think if he even said it on the plane, which is why I bring it up because I don't think it was clear enough. If he's on the plane talking about being a salesman for shower curtain rings, and there's a reason why he's flying out to Chicago because of it, of what he does.
No, all he talks about is what he does. He asks Neil what he does. Then there's the sleeping scene where he bets that they're not going to make it to Chicago. That was all the plane. So I do view it as an issue because then I just find it as huge convenience for the plot of the film. Of well, he has to go to Chicago so he can meet Neil, and that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, let's go to a writer point.
All right, I will jump
Unless Ryder has
to.
a big overarching one as well.
I do have well, we're kind of already touching on all my big ones, so I'm just gonna let the conversation bring us there naturally. Because at this point, I just trust you guys to do that. I'm gonna touch on I think one of the more adult comedy moments, um, which is when Steve Martin's well, okay, I'm gonna get this out of front. It's convenient that he ends up in the seat right next to Del Griffin, but it's also funny that he's trying to explain to hostess that he paid for first class and stuff like that. And then some person just walks in and kisses her and says, "Yeah, you can sit wherever you want." It's just the contrast that was pretty funny, kind of implying that the person that at least that got the first class seat and could sit wherever he wanted, um, it kind of slept with the hostess. At
Yeah.
Hmm. I didn't read into it that much, but I could see that.
that was my initial
Yeah, the
takeaway from
hostess and
it.
that guy knew each other
Yeah,
enough to the point where he kisses her.
yeah. I would say if nothing else, it's just uh, it shows that he has a connection to get the first class ticket, where he can sit anywhere he wants without necessarily needing to have a ticket for it, because it's kind of implied he doesn't have a ticket first class because he can sit wherever he wants. Um, and obviously with Neal Page, he just doesn't have the connection to
That's
get him back there.
that's interesting that the stewardess got that guy Neil's original seat, which is why Neil was bunked down.
That also could be what happened.
Neil just got the struck of bad luck that it falled onto him opposed to anyone else in first class. That's interesting. Hmm.
That's
Okay.
possible, but that's obviously not what I was focusing on. But yes, I agree. That is entirely a possibility.
Yeah.
So is Neil bad luck or is Dell's good luck the predominant thing in the film? Because it's good luck for Dell that Neil got screwed because now he has a family to go to.
Well, that's a very funny topic for you to bring up, Crimson, because I think you have some life
Yeah.
experience to go with that.
What do you guys think?
Well, for being one on the opposite end of this situation, um, I think it's both. I think the pessimistic side of Neil puts him in positions to have quote unquote bad luck for around a holiday of family and friends getting together. And Dell's the opposite of welcoming and charming and sweet towards almost anyone he comes across.
All right. But a lot of Dell's actions cause negative effects for Neil.
They do, but I think that's also Neil just having a stick up his ass.
Well, I think lighting the car on fire with a cigarette and nearly crashing because you get your arms tied to the car is a bit more out of Neil's control.
Well, we'll get there when we get there, but I find that as a slight nick to Dell of that scene.
Oh, I don't find that it's Nick. I find that character assassination worthy.
Big claims, big claims. Ryder, what about you on the whole luck thing?
I see. I like I said, the initial archetypes is that Neil is the bad luck one, and obviously Dell is the good luck one. But that scene that we are just kind of mentioning later on, that kind of breaks that dynamic down completely. I think it's entirely proximity to Dell.
All
Yeah, I
right.
don't necessarily know if it's more good luck, bad luck, which I think is still a factor, possibly, but it might be more of one is organized and one isn't. One's more planned and one's more spontaneity.
Well,
Well, I mean, worst
was it?
case scenario happens, right? Is that the his flight is grounded, he doesn't get on because he doesn't have the good luck to get on the plane. He just rents a car and drives from New York.
Yeah.
True.
So
And
I do think the entire luck thing is based entirely around an only Dell.
Then again, the plane in New York wasn't canceled; it was just delayed.
well, and Neil knocking the rental car is devoid of Dell's presence, though. Uh, so I guess my stance on it is I think Dell's luck supersedes Neil's bad luck because it all by the end was really to benefit of Dell. But they
Yeah. Okay. No, continue. I was just agreeing.
No, that was it. Just the
Oh,
both both in play.
sound like I cut you off. Oops. Okay. Okay. Uh, Early on in the movie, just something that seemed a little odd, maybe to me, and definitely a cartoony situation. When at the boss's office or during the meeting thing, and Neil looks at his plane ticket, it highlights the departure time.
Oh yeah, the editing,
Is
the
that
lighting.
needed?
I think it's fine to be there. Needed, I guess that's kind of a personal vibe with it. I'm trying to figure out there's another movie that does that, where it does just the lighting of the relevant words, and I for some reason, I feel like it's Santa Claus that does that, but I'm not entirely sure on that. But
I
there's definitely something I've seen that does that.
think it happens in Dumb and Dumber.
It's quite a. I think it's quite a normal occurrence. They're just highlighting the relevant information to draw the audience's eyes to it, so that way they don't get caught
True.
up in reading the rest of the minutia. Because I mean, like obviously, if it was blank, the idea is that the audience might start reading anything but the relevant information, and especially since this is a very quick shot.
Yeah.
I
I
Needed? No, but I think it's fine to be there.
Okay. I also think it's fine to be there because I think this is the first shot to show what's Neil's head looking at things. Because this movie does it a lot where you essentially see what Neil is thinking.
Thinking of the devil.
Yeah.
That's a great scene. Oh, I laugh every time. We'll get there, but okay. I I I just see it as we the audience are seeing what Neil is seeing in his head, kind of
What
thing,
do you
I
like
don't think
focusing
there's
on the
real
importance.
light in the scene
Yeah.
highlighting it.
Okay.
I
That's why
mean,
I wanted to pitch. I didn't know if you guys thought like your thoughts around that, if you thought that was actually in Neil's head, if that was just like an editing thing for the audience specifically.
I don't think it was a line from a blinds in the window, etching a line on the paper.
Neither do I. I think that's near impossible with how that room layout is.
I agree, and the line wouldn't be in that angle either.
yeah, I'm in agreement. It's a bit of flair to just highlight the irrelevant information. I don't have an issue with it.
Okay. And if I may, I'll just jump to another of in essentially the same scene. At 113 to 114 of a transitional cut of kind of a wide shot of the office room, John is kind of head down writing notes, and it cuts to him no longer writing and looking towards Neil.
Yeah, there's a couple continuity issues in the film. Unless you think that was a time jump.
No, I don't think that was a time jump. I think that was a continuity error. But I also like that the movie starts us without dialogue, so it's a real show not tell situation. That it is 4:45 p.m. 2 days before Thanksgiving, where Neil has to make a plane in an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, they do a good job establishing all that.
I guess essentially you could say the 2 days before is tell since it's text scroll on the screen, but
Well, then anything written would count that. Then I'd say that the ticket counted as telling because you have to read it. I think it's all visual.
okay. It's not an exposition dump kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right, with that, let's go to Crimson.
All right. Maybe I missed it. I don't think I did, but I didn't see any spill on the bed.
Oh, of the beer?
There was no beer spill, and when he went back to the bed after they had their little back and forth, and he opened the covers, there was no stain under the covers. It was just a white sheet. So I think that's a missed detail that I think they should have actually implemented.
I don't
Yeah.
know if the
especially when they
beer.
say it was his side of the bed.
Yes, I do believe it's on his side of beer. I think the line "I'm sitting in a puddle of beer" isn't actually a puddle, but that his part of the blanket is damp. Because when Dell gets on the bed, he's not under the covers when he turns on the, like, relaxation vibration of the bed. So I think it was just the top sheet that is, like, beer soaked,
It would have seeped into the white sheet though.
depending on how much beer there was, which is cut out of the movie.
Well, when someone says a puddle, even if exaggerated, it's more than a drop.
Yeah, it could have been I'm thinking 1 can of beer could have exploded, but that's still covering the top layer covers. I just don't know if that would seep through. Like, I'm thinking like, I think in
Do you think there's a higher
and
chance it did than didn't?
no,
I'm leaning with the higher
I think
chance.
there's a chance that it didn't, because the context could be that it was 1 beer, um, but with the actual scene that was cut out of the movie, that it was like a six-pack, and a six-pack exploded, then it's more believable that it would seep through, because it's a lot more volume of liquid.
Did he say he's laying in a puddle or on a puddle?
That's a great question that I do not know off the top of my head, but I can probably find.
I can't help with this.
Even
I
if
have no.
it's in a puddle, I would
I
still.
don't remember the comforter. So that's kind of how I would base it. Because if it's depending on the look of the comforter and the material it is, and it looks like it's just a standard hotel comforter, I can buy. If a whole can of beer was spilled, it would absolutely seep through the comforter and into the sheets. But I don't know. We just get like, oh, beer spilled, and he's damp from something.
So I'm leaning high possibility or higher possibility of it seeping through.
Okay, so the line is, "It didn't occur to you, so I have to sleep in a puddle of beer."
Okay. Still my stance, but I guess that's better for you to think that it didn't. He's not on a puddle. He's in a puddle.
Yeah. I do think because of they're saying the vibrating bed is what exploded the beer, and when Dell's on the bed, he's not under the covers, that when the beer exploded, it was on top of the sheets.
Yeah, I'd say that's the most probable.
Okay. Did either of you catch the small detail that technically not I don't know if you would consider the opening the cab door as the introduction to characters, or when they're sitting in the lobby for the plane is the introduction to the characters. But in the plane lobby, it's very quick, but Dell is not wearing shoes.
I did not. I missed that. So where does he get shoes?
No, I think he has his shoes. It's just while sitting there, he has them off.
Oh, so they breathe.
Yeah. Which is something that's in the background of this movie with a little bit of details about bare feet. And I don't know if that was just kind of like a running gag kind of thing.
I mean, I would definitely say with Dell, it was kind of a running thing.
It was
It's brought up several times.
Yeah, it was well, Dell on the plane is like the first go. When they get to the inn, there's a sign in the inn that says, I think I wrote it down like bare feet. Shoot, it's somewhere in my notes. The note or the sign,
Behind the counter, yeah.
yeah. Um, no bare feet in lobby was on the sign. And then when it cuts to Neil's wife, kind of like staying up waiting for a call and she's watching something on TV, the whatever she's watching says, what if the shoe was on the other foot? And the person replies, I'd go barefoot. So it's just like all these little things that I'm like, oh, bare feet was like brought up multiple times. So I just an attention to detail, I guess.
Hmm. It is interesting.
Not, yeah, yeah. I don't really have much to add to that because it's a trait they try to keep consistent with the scenes with Del Griffin. I'm trying to think of where they might have dropped the ball, but I think in most cases that it's relevant. He does take his like socks off and stuff like
Yeah. How would you two feel if you were on a plane and the person next to you, a stranger, removed their shoes and socks?
I wouldn't mind unless it reeked.
that. I'm kind of the same boat. It depends if it reeks, I'm gonna complain. Like I'm gonna ask them to put their shoes back on.
I think I'm in the same boat if it reeks, but I think I would also say something if they're whipping their sock around and it's hitting me.
Oh yeah,
Well,
if
I mean,
they
that's
hit
not
me
what you
with
said, though.
yeah,
Right.
that's not in
Well,
the scenario that you provided. Yes,
if you sat next to Del Griffith on a plane, what
I
would be
would
If
your
I got hit
breaking
with a
point?
sock, I would let them know, "Stop it."
yeah. If I got hit with a sock, and there'd be a line that was crossed.
One of the times when I was on a plane, there was a kid who I had a window seat, and some kid that stuck his foot next to it, like against the wall on my armrest. Um, so I elbowed him. So,
You elbowed a
uh,
kid?
his foot. That's not where it belongs. It's my
Crimson.
area. I was a kid, so it's all fair.
Oh, okay. Kid against kid. Probably over international waters, so you're fine.
Yeah, I didn't cut off his toes.
Oh, oof. All right.
It's funny.
Uh, I'll go to a small little detail that I think I did like was when Neil calls back home and his wife picks up and he says the plane was delayed. His daughter just says flight delay when the mom says it's dad. And
Yeah,
because the daughter's first response is flight delay, that tells me that this has happened multiple times.
Yeah, and I think Neil talking about it at the diner, like he's away from home a lot, bolsters that point.
yeah. It would have happened quite a. It would have happened a lot. I think, especially if you're at a job that requires traveling in the way his does. I think it's very
Would you
Yeah.
guys have liked more of Neil's family in this?
No, I'm okay.
normal.
I think the wife is the most important part. I don't think his kids are that big,
I would
and the
disagree.
little they have is fine.
He's missing his daughter's pageant, and that is a very important thing to him.
That was something that I felt fell flat because it wasn't like built up on. He never mentioned, "Oh, I need to get to her thing before Thanksgiving." It's just gotta get there for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So him
I'm gonna
losing that made me feel like he didn't value it that much because he doesn't bring it up as an urgent thing.
yeah, I'm gonna steal a page out of Train to Busan books. Have one of the moms have the mom record it so that he can see it.
Yeah. Or since we love bringing it up, pull a page from Hook and send someone to go record it for you.
So many examples. Or in that
Right.
one episode of Leverage at that college private school
Oh
thing.
yeah. Uh, no, Crimson, I am on your side more of this because Neil didn't bring up the importance of it really.
Yeah, so it fell flat. And because he doesn't really bring up his family all that much during this, all we really get is sometimes cutting to the family. I don't think they really build up the ending with the family that well. I think Dell, his ending was built upon well, but I think the family didn't. I think they got sidelined by Dell through the movie too much,
Yeah, I would say if I were in the 2 hour cut of this film, I would want more family scenes. They're not the main
or at least
characters of
mentioned.
this. Yeah, they're not the main characters of the story, but I think more family scenes would be relevant to help the ending feel more impactful.
I'd want more fluff for the ending.
Something to add more impact to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I did recognize though that the son or Neil's son in the movie is the actor who plays the son in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Hmm. Podcast.
I'm just saying more actors. Also, the guy who says the flight is canceled is God. I forget the actor's name, but he's the teacher in Ferris
Bueller.
Bueller. Uh,
Bueller.
yeah, he's the mask guy in the mask, or like who wrote the book. Very
Yeah.
monotone guy.
got a career
Uh,
out of
let's
it though.
let's go to writer.
Yeah. We kind of touched. This is kind of adjacent to the topic that was just brought up, but I do like that Neal tries calling his family every time he ends up somewhere, irrelevant of whether they answer or not. He always is trying to reach them.
Yes. Well, that was the time. Like no cell phone, so anytime you could find a phone available to contact that, you're okay because
Yeah,
it keeps. I like that it keeps showing the wife trying to stay up for him, and she doesn't know where he is, but she's not panicking.
yeah, because this is quote unquote happened before.
Yeah. I mean, it is a bit of a shock when you say you're going from New York to Chicago and you get a call saying you're in Kansas.
Yeah, we were redirected to Wichita. There is one line of dialogue I really didn't like about that scene. Uh, is I think it was the his wife that says, "And what does it have to do with Wichita?" Um, and like she doesn't put together the pieces like the weather in Chicago is why he ended up in Wichita. It was just it's not bad. It's just I think the dialogue could have just needed to be tweaked a little bit.
I can see
Yeah,
that,
clunky and
but
redundant.
what I think that helps a little is that she was woken up. She's
Yeah,
not
like I
fully
said,
awake.
that's why I don't have as much of an issue with it. If she was awake the entire time and like was waiting for the call, I would have an issue.
Yeah, more cognizant.
Yeah, it's still the dialogue is a little bit clunky, but it's again it works.
Yeah. How do you two feel about essentially, I guess, the character first introduction of Neil and Dell?
So are you counting that as the
I'll
taxi
I'll say
stealing
I'll say not the taxi, but of them sitting in the
at the
lobby.
airport?
Yeah.
It's convenient. But outside that, I like the reactions. You obviously get that cab realization shot of Neil seeing Dell in the cab in the airport with the shocked face. I think it was a good comedic break. And Dell just blabbermouthing, "I don't know you." Blah, blah, blah." It's all fitting. I think it all makes sense outside the convenience.
I'd hate sitting next to a blubbering chowderhead. Ooh, and that's
Yeah.
the hypocritical sense of it. That's funny.
So I think it's well done.
Yeah, my thing with it is pretty much exactly the same. I think it's convenient that they ended up next to each other, but outside of that, I think it's a very well done scene. You got they both have their own realizations, and the they both put on display their characters in a very natural way. With Paige being really reserved and like, it's like I don't eat this, I don't want that, I'm very picky on my food, and he's like trying to avoid making a connection. Where all Zell Griffith does is trying to make a connection, trying to make an apology. He didn't understand that the cab belonged to somebody else, etc., etc. So you get a very, very distinct impression of who these characters are and how opposite they are to each other. I would say again, aside from convenience, it's a very well crafted scene.
I was about to ask, was Dell genuine in him not realizing it was a cab already hailed?
Oh yeah,
I think so.
he's oh absolutely.
Yeah.
He's so unaware of his surroundings outside of trying
I
to
mean,
make a
Crimson,
sales
that
pitch.
face, that shocked face of him in the taxi.
Yeah. But that could be him shocked that he's getting punished for his actions.
Yeah, or someone's gonna pull him out of a taxi cab. So
Yeah. I don't know. I just find it a little absurd that he wouldn't have noticed, especially with the whole arguing over money next to it for the cab.
I mean, this is New York. The cab driver's gonna go who's ever gonna pay him
oh,
first.
people are arguing on
Oh,
every
he's
corner
just a
street.
cab driver.
Like
Yeah,
it,
I have no issue with that.
you don't know if it's pertained to what you're doing.
Yeah. So I
You're
I
standing
don't
right
have
next
an
to it talking about the cab.
yeah. At that point, it's kind of on them. I don't have that much of an issue with it. I do think he
What
was genuine with his apology.
what I have a slight nick though too is that when the Kevin Bacon one that Neil is trying to get the taxi for, he trips over Dell's luggage of his case.
Which is further down the road.
Yeah.
So when he gets further down the road to the one he's arguing with the attorney to pay for, how did Dell get his trunk there?
That quickly. Yeah. That's a fucking world building problem right there.
Geography issue. So yeah, and that's an issue. And you'd hear him scraping it across the floor before the cab driver helps throw it in the trunk. I mean, there's stuff absent here.
Uh, I don't know if you'd hear it.
Uh, I mean, they're right next to the cab, right next to the trunk, and
Well, he's not
he's
dragging it
established
up
to
with
drag
him.
it.
The trunk is already on the ground. He hits the back of the taxi to open the trunk, and the
How
cabbie
did it
comes out
get
to
on the
get in it.
floor? He had to drag it there.
Well, yes,
He
but at
tripped
the
further up
time
the road.
no, okay. It would make noise, yes. But at the time of the scene starting, I think the trunk could already be on the ground, and Dell is looking for a cab. That's why it's not making any noise. But it's also New York during rush hour, where cabs and honking and screaming and all this noise is going on. I think it would be covered.
Okay. I, I that's too much devil's advocate for me
Okay.
on my
That's the
take.
whole tree falls in the woods doesn't make a sound. Yes, of course it makes a sound. I have that with the trunk. Yes, the trunk makes a sound, but it's not loud enough to be audible.
I
I'd
didn't know
also
he
say
tripped.
in the movie, New York isn't that loud.
I had an issue that he tripped over nothing, but if he tripped over Dell's luggage, that just changes the
Oh,
issue.
he
Then I
did.
take away.
Oh, it did. It goes
Yeah.
back to the luggage and says Del Griffith on top.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I might have missed the shot then since I was taking notes. But yeah, there's still a problem for me is because he would have had to teleport with the luggage to get the cab.
Okie doke. Let's go to Ryder. I don't know whose point that was, but let's go to Ryder.
Oh
Oh, that
right.
was mine on the introduction. Yeah, that's right.
I do find it funny that the taxi driver that they get to in Wichita is taking them around to sightseeing in the middle of the night.
Oh,
It's a little bit
Doobie?
funny.
Hell yeah.
Running the tab.
Yep. Don't get much taxi work, I guess, out there, which
No, Doobie's Taxiola.
Yeah.
Gotta make it flashy.
It's pretty nice looking in taxi minus the imagery. And the guy. I don't know. He's I don't know. Not my kind of guy I'd want to sit next to in there, I think.
No, it doesn't seem like your kind of guy, Crimson. But he does seem like
No.
a guy who knows how to have a fun night.
Yeah, which is probably why I wouldn't want to hang out with them. Well, I haven't really taken a taxi or really any
Or an
rideshare
Uber
stuff.
or
Yeah.
Lyft or
Are you guys the type of guys that would prefer a silent person or someone that would talk?
depends if I'm in it by myself.
By
If
yourself in the
if
scenario.
if I'm by myself, I want a chatty guy. I'll talk with a guy. Helps pass the time. It's not awkward silence. But if I'm with other people, I'm gonna talk to the other people. If the driver wants to get involved in the conversation, sure. But I have people I know more to talk to.
I'm indifferent. If I'm by myself in the scenario that you're presenting, Crimson, I can put in my headphones if I need to, and if not, and they want to be chatty, I'm totally down to be chatty. I am usually, yeah, I'm just indifferent. I've had enough now at this point where I'm indifferent on the style of them.
So it sounds like you'd engage if they would. Would you ever prompt conversation ready?
I do occasionally prompt conversation, but it's very, very generic.
Oh,
Interesting.
so the rain was wet today.
Ah,
No,
that's
more
such a
like,
Crimson thing to say.
yeah, more like, yeah, thank you. I'm running late for something. That would be my only intro or prompt.
Okay,
And if
I
they
can already
accepted
guess.
that,
I can already guess. I'm one who would strike up a conversation. Ryder's very middle ground. Could not. I feel like Crimson, you're the one who doesn't. You don't want to talk to a stranger.
Not likely. Not
yeah,
likely.
like I said, mine is predicated. I leave an opening for conversation is what I do. It's up to the cabbie if they take it or the driver.
If they try to converse with me, I'll converse with them, but I unlikely I would start it.
You're gonna cut it short.
Well, I mean, I do work at a job that requires me to talk to people, so
Yeah. You see that Bears game? Don't watch sports.
dude, volleyball. Might as well continue that gig.
It's like that episode of Scooby Doo where Fred splits up with Shaggy to change it
I
up.
just I just had this idea where Crimson, like you're trying to hold a conversation with somebody and you're just texting me and Springs like, is this a football team? I need help for this conversation.
No,
The Mariners, my favorite pickleball team.
you're a Dolphins guy.
Hey, that's football.
Is the Bears not football?
No, it is.
It's the Chicago Bears.
It's just a joke. I'm just
It's
joking
just
around.
whoa, he's joking about sports.
I don't know any teams of
Audience, be
volleyball
nice to him. Be
players.
nice to him, please. It's Thanksgiving.
I don't know a single volleyball team.
Do you know baseball teams?
Giants,
All right,
Yankees,
there we go.
Red
Oh,
Sox.
oh
We
man,
got varieties.
baseball guy. Chicago Cubs. Speaking
Oh
about
yeah, nice
Chicago,
team.
back to the movie. That was my segue. I'm sorry it
Good
was so
job.
corny. Um, yeah, I like another visual of show not tell of when Dell offers to Neil, "Hey, if you get the cab fare, I'll pay, for a night here in Wichita for you." And Neil's very apprehensive about it, but then looks over to see the guy sleeping in the airport. And I think what aids is not only just a guy sleeping in the airport, but he's sleeping next to a trash can. And just the visual of that, I think, was very strong to aid and Neil accepting their
Yeah,
proposition.
and it adds more to Neil's. Uh, what's the word I'm looking for? He prefers the higher things in life, and the whole first class thing tacks onto that as well. He doesn't like the inconvenience of lower living, I guess.
Yeah. I guess I have an overarching question that just came up. Did Dell do anything to be a thief? Other than the accident, but like a purposeful thief?
Um, Thief? No, I don't
Not
think
if I
so.
stretch the definition, yes, but not in the traditional sense.
Because I think for theft, I mean, you can accidentally steal stuff, but calling someone a thief, I think intent has to be put upon it, and he didn't intentionally take the card, but he did intentionally use it knowing it wasn't his card. So that gets into
Okay.
the question. So I
Next
actually,
question. Oh,
since he did know it wasn't his card, actually, I do think it's stealing because he used someone else's card knowingly.
okay. My next question onto that, just in case, was is Dell a liar?
I feel like I remember an instance feeling that, but I can't
Silence.
remember something. I, I mean, we talked about lie of omissions, right? In the past on her and some other podcast, and him omitting the fact that he knew he had his card. I guess someone could say that's a lie of omission. I wouldn't
We could
constitute
also
that.
talk about the fact that him omitting the truth about his wife might also be really relevant for payoff.
That
That's personal.
that's fair. I don't think he's
I
lying.
don't
He's
think it's
not
relevant.
being asked actual questions about it.
Yeah, it's not relevant information.
Yeah, it's still it. I
And
mean,
nothing he said
it's a
about
factor.
her's a lie. He's like, "Oh, I love my wife. It's true."
I feel like we've talked about this before, but I'm on the side that withholding information is not lying.
I think it depends on the scenario. Defer to the her podcast for
Yeah.
the debate that me and Fixer, the guest formerly known as Dr. Ryland Grace, had. We had a good back and forth on that.
Um, I'm in the camp that Dell is a liar, but I'm 50-50 if he's a thief. And it's all because of when he's selling the shower curtain rings. All of that is lying.
Yes, that is
But
true.
it's taking the people's money a thief because of the lying.
No, because they're actually buying something.
Actually,
You are
yeah.
misleading them, but I do think him spending Neil's card is stealing.
Okay.
He didn't steal the card, but he stole the money that was on the card. And then,
Yeah.
he's just a
Even though he said he's
criminal
gonna
for
pay back.
smashing into the motel.
Oh, well, the hit and run, that was yeah. Writer, I don't know if you said if Dell was a liar or not.
Oh, I definitely would say he is, but he
Okay.
doesn't do it constantly.
No, he's not a pathological liar. No. But
And
okay.
Ryder, did you say if he was a thief or not?
No, yeah, I broke the same. My mind breaks essentially the same way as yours does, Crimson.
Okay.
I would definitely call him a thief for spending somebody else's money.
Okay, doke. Let's then go to Crimson.
Okay. I liked the POV shot of Neil looking through the hotel room and seeing the single bed, and then looking at Dell's face while they both realize
The
what's going to happen
17
tonight.
Yep, the 1751 timestamp pan shot of the bed to Dell's face, I think is so that's such a comically done shot.
It's pretty funny. The perfect face and
And the
added
music
context. It's
goes
all
with
good.
it.
And all the Yaoi
Yeah.
shippers are really happy.
Sure. I don't know what that means.
It's probably best that you
I
don't.
know. You don't speak Hungarian, so don't worry about it.
You're right.
But I agree, it is definitely one of the better. It was nice comedic beat because you know what they're both thinking in that moment.
Oh, yeah. I'm just surprised they didn't one said they weren't gonna sleep on the floor.
Well, it's not Neil's character to do it, and we have Dell who has back issues, so
Yeah,
I
but
don't think
I
either of them would have offered it up.
Dell doesn't see a problem with sharing a bed, I think.
Oh, yeah, not at all. Outside of the implications of it's a bit more leaning somewhere.
Yeah. I I wish there was more to it of I get I get that Dell brings his own pillow places because some places, if he's on the move for 8 years, he might not have a place for a pillow kind of thing. Like, especially since he was gonna sleep in the car in the snow situation. But the fact that he says he's allergic to sponge, I took that as truth to play into why he has his own pillow versus an excuse kinda lie of why he has his own pillow. But then with that, I wish there was, like, an instance where sponge came up again kinda thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think there's anything in this that proves he's lying or not about that. Because I can see him lying about it to keep the facade that he's not homeless, which is why he would have a pillow. Uh, but there's nothing that really proves that or anything.
Yeah. I go with the camp that he has his pillow because of that, but I
Yeah, I
just
would.
don't know if the sponge thing is an excuse because it doesn't get brought up again.
It can function as both. I can see it either way. There'd be something for it. Dell doesn't really
If he
broadcast
actually
the fact
had
that
it,
he's.
if he actually had the allergy, should it have come back or to be relevant,
I think it could have for a joke.
like a Chekhov's gun type thing?
It could have. Yeah.
I think so. I think this movie has tons of different forms of humor that could have been one of them.
Yep, I agree with that.
Setup payoff humor. It has nonsense humor. It has written humor. It has facial humor. It has. Uh, I don't think it has any like pratfall humor. Oh well, it kind of does.
No, I would
Yeah.
definitely say there's some pratfall humor.
No, there's some pratfall humor. Yeah, like when Neil gets dragged up by his testicles.
I like that whole interaction with that guy.
I have Yeah, it's funny. I have a quick
To me,
question.
that actor seemed recognizable, but I couldn't put my tongue on where I knew them from.
I I had the same feeling. I think he just looks like somebody. I don't know if it's actually somebody I
He Yeah,
recognize.
he reminds me of the guy from Yes Man, like the friend, or also in the newer Jumanji like video game movies.
I haven't seen either of those.
I don't think it's him though.
Writer, were you gonna say something in there?
Yeah, I was kind of. I think it just was the way the scene was edited, but there's a line that Del Griffin was offering for Paige to take a shower first, and then Paige ends up taking a shower second. Um, I don't remember if there was an answer to that question that made the dialogue feel awkward. Obviously, I'm fine with the result that Paige, took a shower second, but it's
Yeah, it was Dell asking, "Do you want to take a shower?" Where Neil just screamed no, as like, "Do you want to take a shower together?" kind of thought.
yeah,
And then they were like joking, like, "Oh, no, no, no." It's just like, "Do you want to go first or second?" And then it cuts to Neil in the shower. But being that Dell is in like a bathrobe on the bed, and then all this stuff is all around the bathroom, made gave
yeah.
enough context to me
It's
that
very
Dell
obvious
went
that
first.
yeah, it's very obvious that Dell went first. But I'm also curious, is like another add-on to that question: would Paige have accepted that?
I don't think he knows Dell enough as a person to have deduced that he would have been that
No,
sloppy
no, no.
about it.
I mean personally, would
I
he have
I
accepted
think
that?
yes, I think it's fine because what I see of Nell is a lot of like not wanting to sound super selfish of situations, like me first, I'm gonna do this first. It's kind of like you go first, and I'll be in the back of the line kind of guy.
He's very polite. Like he doesn't want to be mean or typically, but
He doesn't
he's
want to
very
get in the
polite.
way.
He's very polite. He doesn't want to interrupt. Like he has to be really pushed to be like to want to yell at Dell.
Yeah,
He doesn't want to
I
stand
thought it was
out.
fine.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know. I'm kind of in the same boat. I think it's fine. It was just a little. Uh, it felt like clicky dialogue to me, but I think there was enough there that it was fine.
Well, it does kind of come out of the blue, but if you use that dialogue as the buildup with looking at the single bed, it is kind of like a setup payoff
Oh yeah, yeah, no. I like the
or a
joke
lead
that
in
comes out
joke.
of it. It's clearly the joke that comes out of it. The joke is fine. I'm more of like the my thing is like I'm not sure if Neil would have accepted going shower second because he does prefer the high class things in life. Like why would he need to wait? But I think I'm okay with it. Like I said, it's not really a huge issue, and I don't
With
even think
how
it's an issue.
much Neil pays for everything for Dell, I think it's fine. He never splits a price, and he never has Dell pay for it. He just like conveniently and politely says, "I got it." I think that with the shower of like, "You go first, it's fine," kind of thing works. However, I am curious about something that follows, especially for you, writer. Being a big writing thing, the argumentative conversation that occurs.
Oh, I love it. Um, so there's, I mean, if this is a question for me, um,
Well, Crimson as well, but you being just like the focal point of writing,
okay.
and
Uh,
first time, I was curious about your thoughts on it.
yeah, I think okay. I'm gonna get the my negative criticism out of the way just a little bit. I do think uh, Neil's side of things drags on a little bit too much, pacing wise. I think he says a little. It kind of gets a sense if it keeps going and going. Um, and that is my only real complaint about it. Ultimately, I'm fine with it all because there's a degree of the film where the film is trying to it puts you out and you feel all of Neil's discomfort, so you know exactly why he finally snapped. Because there's a level where that patience just runs out. So you're not necessarily primed to be on Neil's side if you've uh, if this is your first time watching. You're kind of primed to be on his side, but that also feeds into the how Del Griffin responds to all of that as well. So there is I think it's a very, very well written back and forth. My only complaint is I think Neal's monologue more or less goes on just a tiny bit too much, tiny bit too long.
Okay. I think that John Candy's response as Dell is possibly one of the best pieces of acting he ever did in his career. I just find it so touching, and the acting is all in the eyes
Oh
of
yeah,
that.
like I said, that's how you tell them if they're good at their jobs. You can read their character monologue in the eyes.
Yeah,
You can get the
which
monologue in his eyes even before he starts talking.
yeah, um, which occurs also at the third act, which is very again for a first time for you, writer. I'm curious how you saw that, but later on, there's more acting in the eyes of the context of the scene being more than just what's shown. So, but I guess Crimson, your thoughts on the matter to weigh in.
I pretty much agree with what both of you said. Even writers like Neil's spiel went a little on the long side because it's kind of info we already gathered as an audience. But it's not outside the realm of his character to say it, so I don't have any issues with it. It's just something I feel is a little long. I think there's enough that's happened for Neil to break, to cause this argument to happen. So I think it's just very well executed.
Okay, we're all in agreement. Well, I guess you both said Neil's part goes on a little long, and I am in agreement. It goes a little long, but I think it changes from Neil getting things off his chest to relieve himself to pivot more into a transition as going along to make it longer, of then just to hurt Dell. I don't think it started off necessarily trying to hurt Dell.
Yeah, he
Interest-
kind of it transitions into him trying to get back a little bit at all for all the grief Dell has been causing him.
Yeah,
Like I
so
said,
I do like that in
it
the
is
that it actually you can see the change
yeah, it is a
of it.
good like I said, it's definitely a good facet of it. I still stand by it's probably a little bit too long, but it's still it's another interesting dynamic that they had within the beat of the monologue.
Yeah. Um, Ryder, I don't know if how much you've seen of it. So actually, Crimson, I think no subject. Off of this point, Crimson, how do you feel about the music in this movie?
How do I feel about the music? I think it's fitting for the scenes they're in, for the tones, but none of them really stand out to me, really.
Oh, interesting.
Uh, Even the one where he's singing in the car, the messing
The
around or
mess
whatever.
around.
Yeah,
Okay, I meant
like
more of the instrumental pieces.
they're even more forgettable.
Oh,
Forgettable. There are certain scenes where the music does match the emotions being stated. I don't know where it is in my notes, but there's a scene where Neil changes emotions immediately due to something happening, and then the music matches his mood changing. I
oh,
don't
when things
remember.
become gloomy or upset, that country harmonica comes in.
Yeah, so I think they do a good job pairing the music with the events of the film, but in terms of the music, to me, it's not very memorable.
Interesting. Okay. To me, it reminded me a lot of music from like National Lampoons, from like Vacation or Christmas Vacation, like that kind of 80s synth background sounding music. The country harmonica stuff seemed more of just this movie of like a tone shift situation of like scenes. But all the 80s sounding stuff reminded me of National Lampoons. That's why I asked you
Yeah,
because Ryder, I don't know how much of National Lampoons you've seen.
and
I could speak to the like '80s synthwave stuff. I'm not a huge fan of it. I tolerate it, but it's not something I like. Whenever 80s synthwave comes up, it's never really a soundtrack I go out of my way to look for.
Oh, we know your thoughts on Last Christmas. We know.
You gave you my heart, but you threw it away.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Um, yeah, it's terrible. On the Lampoons thing, I can kind of see what you're getting at. I see that one as more distinct music, but it is also biased because I've watched that the Christmas Vacation one particularly a lot, so it's kind of just been ground into my head. So hard to say for that one for me.
Okay, I was just curious. Let's go to Crimson.
Okay, I guess the part leading up to their little argument, uh, I like how they did it. Nothing seemed too absurd to like, oh, why is he doing that right now? Like him reading his book that we already saw him reading at the airport makes sense. Him scratching, sure, makes sense. Clearing his sinuses, people can do that. He doesn't do anything out of the norm where he's like clapping his hands and like, oh, just a warm up I do every night. It's not nothing weird. So I think they do a good job with that. Oh, and the bone popping. I forgot about that. Pops everything.
And he's moaning as he does it.
Yeah, I when
Oh
he
yeah,
says,
that's
"Oh yeah,
great.
I'm
Oh.
I'm bushed. I'm exhausted. I'm gonna get to sleep," and he's up for like another half hour, just making noises, reading, and
Would it be
but
good if there was a clock next to Neil's head where they show time jumping?
I don't think that's needed.
It's not needed. It would be a nice just add-on so that we can keep track of time.
'Cause I think I would definitely prefer it because if by the end of it like an hour's passed or something, it'd be kind of funny.
Yes, I would say I prefer. I would also say I prefer it, but I agree. But I'm also on Spring's side. It's not needed.
Yeah, it's not needed.
I just remembered that the book Dell's Rating, the Canadian Mounted, is a reference joke in Deadpool 2.
Hmm. I was in Deadpool 2 once or twice.
It's the
Twice.
worst of the three, but
Twice. But, I don't remember it. The reference.
yeah, Deadpool's just raiding in the X Mansion. But then also, I
Oh,
guess in
okay.
Deadpool and Wolverine, the mug, while digging up Logan, says, "I like me."
Ah,
Ryan Reynolds is a big fan of John Candy. I guess that's why he was I believe, executive producer for the documentary.
neat.
So, how's everyone's notes looking for Act One?
I am
Scarce.
skimming for the time being. Give me a sec.
Ooh, I'm thinking one more from each.
All right. I'm also reading, so
All right, I guess I'll go first. Let's see here. One more from me. I'll just go with the joke that I think a lot of people know from this movie is the hand between two pillows. That's a pretty good, I guess, a bit of an adult joke, um, but it's pretty comical.
yeah, I would say that is one of the takeaway jokes from this film.
I will piggyback off of that one. I guess this might be my last point, but it's gonna borrow some of Crimson's Springs of Steam for this one. I really like that they, as soon as they shake it off, the realization of how they slept at the end of the night, that they just go to the most manly thing they can think of, which is football.
Yeah. Well, they did that kind of like when they saw the bed by itself, right?
Yeah, it's a it's so it's not the so it's not a standalone joke. It
Yeah.
has its moments where it repeats, and I really like it. So
All right, Crimson, you find something?
Yeah, so I'll talk more on the theft part of the night. It's nice having the added context that there was something behind it. In isolation, it's possible. I mean, the the area they're in doesn't look like a high-end neighborhood. It
No.
I
looks a little
What I think
run
helps,
down.
and it's very small and it's enough context in the movie, I think, is when they come up to the inn, the first thing Neil takes in about this place is a couple arguing outside the front door before going
yeah,
in.
I
So
actually
it's not a welcoming place.
so in my first view, I actually thought the couple that was arguing, I thought the guy that she was arguing with was the robber.
Mm,
I mean, it's
we know it's not.
technically possible, it could've, but they don't look the same.
So, now this final product that has no context of thief, it's just a thief. It does kinda feel a little like, "And now this happens that's inconvenient." It it's fine for the film, it's just a I feel it is kinda lazy, but it fits.
Yeah, I same.
I think where they are and a little bit of build up with just the location, I think it's okay. The context more of being the pizza guy and everything works better of the context of the scene, but I think there's still just enough to get it past to keep the film pacing okay.
Yeah, I think this is better because in this the pizza context scene, the setup for it would have damaged characters. So I much prefer this version.
If it's to exactly what I was saying. Again, I didn't write down that fact. It was just off of my memory. So I could be slightly off.
Or if we had the owner tell them, "Careful, make sure you hide your stuff, cause we kinda get thieves around here," or, "Make sure to
Oh,
lock
if
your
Gus
door,
said that,
cause the
yeah.
lock sucks," or something to set up that thieving could happen other than just it looks like a slummy area, I think would also help the scene,
Yeah.
now that it's just a random thief and not the pizza
But
guy.
I don't think they needed to do over the top like big. If you remember that when he gets an apartment there or like a hotel room.
Oh yeah, and he starts crying because of all
Yeah, there's
the
chains on the door, there's gunshots outside, someone's screaming in the hallway.
Yeah, that's a bit over the top. But if they did something to acknowledge it's possible or something like that, it would, I think, be better for it.
Okay. And Ryder, do you have one last point?
Uh, I do. I like the Neil. The again, it's just good acting. So once Neil realizes he did cross a line, he kind of comes. He has that look of regret, and he comes back into himself before he crawls back into bed, more or less.
Yeah. Yeah,
Again,
realizing kind
just
of a
very good
mistake
in
or
conveying the character.
I agree. So with this, we will go now into Act Two, which is going from this diner breakfast scene all the way up to when Dell turns the car around and starts driving down the interstate the opposite way. Um, I will start with something I brought up earlier that I thought was funny with Crimson talking about how a crew member kind of threw like a jacket or something into the street from earlier. Something I find so funny is when they're in the back of Owen's truck driving, and there's a shot on Steve Martin talking to Dell. I think that John Candy is throwing hay at him to implicate like wind.
Oh, absolutely.
I just find that so funny in like the shot, like being that it's out of frame, that Dell is
In the
just
meta
throwing
sense,
hay onto Neil. Yeah.
my only issue with that is that the wind is that uh the hay is
The
going
wind's not
towards
going
him.
that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So quite funny. But of course, again, we'll find out with the recap, which by this time will be out Monday. You'll get the answer. So I don't know, issue, problem, whatever. The fact that they didn't know a dog was in the trunk.
An aggressive, loud one at that. It
Yeah,
would have acknowledged them getting in.
yeah, I by the context of the movie, I think they didn't know the dog was in there, which I see as a problem. But I can see the argument that someone's saying they did know the dog was there, but the fact that dog is being loud made them jump, and it's being aggressive.
But then you would have the counter argument of it would have done that of them getting in there in the first place.
They
Yes.
would have to walk over him to get to where they sit. So absolutely,
It's
that's just
kind of the same
a movie
scenario as the
moment.
bathroom, where the whole bathroom was dirty at when he entered, but he didn't see it. This time, the dog would have been mad at them, but they would have just passed it and not
This
realized it.
one's not as character damaging, but it's definitely it makes it stand out much more as a movie moment.
That a dog just essentially appears.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can see so many ways going about it. Like when Owen was there, the dog was nice because it's the owner kind of thing, and so it was calm around them, or it's just very protective of the gloves for some reason, or like there's excuses that could go around about it. But with just what the film holds, it does feel like the dog just comes out of nowhere, and Dell and Neil are both shocked.
Well, you know how some of those trucks have those like sliding back windows? If we had uh Owen's wife just slide it open and say, "Hello to the guys," whatever the name of the dog would be, and the dog just jumps through it and starts barking at him or something, I think that would fit.
That could work, but then again, you don't get the three-beat comedy of them being frozen, and the third one being the dog is frosted over.
I'm going with like the dog would jump out the window when she opens it to them.
Oh, and join them. Got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's the issue is it wasn't in the car. Like it wasn't in the back seat with them. So that would be in the
Yeah.
change.
Yeah, that's my pitch is to fix the them not noticing the dog
Okay.
getting into
Yeah,
the truck.
that would work.
Okay. Let's go to writer.
Um, I as much as you got the history of Owen spitting in his hand for the to greet Steve Martin. Um, I think it was I it's I didn't find it funny, but I get the humor. I think the timing was pretty decent because it feels so like out of the blue.
Yeah, I liked Owen and seeing Professor Connors uh, acting out there.
Oh my god, that was him?
Yeah, from the
That's Sam
Toby.
Raimi's
Yeah,
Professor Connors?
yeah,
Oh, it is.
that's what I recognized him from.
Wow. Didn't piece that together.
Well, there you go.
Wow, what a different role.
Very much.
Let's go to Crimson.
I brought up earlier that there was a few continuity errors. One that I picked up on was when they had to exit the train, and you see Dell dragging his trunk around. It is facing upright as you normally would, but when Neil comes to help pick it up, it's upside down.
Oh. Uh, yeah, being how heavy it is, it probably wouldn't have flipped over.
No, and it's played fluid that he's just dragging it. So when you, there's no reason why Neil would approach him that he would flip it upside down.
There was
Now, just a continuity error with that.
yeah. I'll jump to one of my favorite, more subtle things in the film is that Steve Martin is the first one to strike up a conversation with just some random stranger in the train. He doesn't. It's not a long conversation, but he's
Yes.
the one who initiates.
Yes, I saw that as a sign
He's
that Neil is
growing.
changing.
Yeah, and I
Because earlier he
really
said
love
he's
that.
not a conversationalist and he started one.
Yes, I love it. It's very subtle in the sense that like it doesn't last very long. It's not a full length conversation. He doesn't keep the ball going. Like he's not talking as much as Griffin does. But the fact that he just starts one, like out of the blue almost, it's very nice. I really love the character moment for that.
Yeah, I agree. That was good. However, something that's not so good at 32:38 when they're sitting outside the inn waiting for Owen to arrive sitting on the trunk, uh, there's not great ADR work on Neil until it cuts to a closer shot of the two of them. Then it's lined up pretty well.
Mm, I missed that one, I guess.
but the further shot doesn't sync up that well. Dell synced up a bit more, but I think it's because of his head's turned, and he's got the padded jacket and the hat, and everything's a lot more, I guess, padding or shadowing to cover up his mouth. But Neil doesn't have that, so it stands out more.
All right. At the diner where they kind of agree to part ways, we have Dell storming
Oh, the
off.
lunch one. Yeah.
Yeah, Dell storming off because he's like, "All right, let's part ways then." After offering money, he takes two like bags, and I wrote, "Where's his trunk at? Did he just leave it outside?"
Ooh, could have left it outside. Could have left it at the front of the place, or
Oh,
front of the
just
restaurant.
very trusting considering he got robbed already in one
True.
day.
But then again, Neil did the same when he left his bags, jacket, and coat on a seat to call his wife.
And I think Neil would be more cautious after being robbed
Yeah.
than Dell would.
Doesn't really have caution in his repertoire of character traits.
Hmm. I don't know. I think the trunk could have been at the front of the restaurant or something. Like it makes some sense to me. Again, in the longer version, could have been them entering with the trunk, and Dinah's like, "I'll just leave that up here," kind of thing, and like it cuts back to like Dell looking at it, and some kids are climbing on it or something. But don't know.
Yeah, it just seemed like something that was absent to ignore.
Yeah. But the scene you brought up, though, I do more acting in the eyes. I like that. That seemed to hurt Dell as well, the splitting up, because it seems like Neil was a friend who's actually sticking around with Dell, or is stuck around for a while rather than just like a helpful favor kind of thing. And saying goodbye to like this making of a friendship hurts Dell to then be alone again.
Well, and you can also tell it was hard for Neil to say the words. Whether or not it was selfish, like he didn't want blowback from Dell, or if he
Oh yeah, I
actually
know. I
was
I
sad
think that was
about
being
it,
polite.
but he
Yeah,
was
I think that was
restrained on it. Or not
yeah.
restrained, but cautious about it.
Also, just the build up to get to that point of the conversation of like when we put our two heads together and Dell's like, yeah, yeah, it's great, and he goes, we get nowhere. It's like a crushing
Yeah.
word in the sentence kind of thing. So I know I'm not usually the one who say that, but I think that sentence is written well for the scene.
Whoa,
I
slow
would
down.
I would corroborate that. So
Yeah, it doesn't seem it's sudden, but it's believable and realistic in the approach of both characters at that point in time.
yeah. Uh, but what I again what I again kind of feeding into the scene a little bit, we see that Neil isn't necessarily a he's not a bad person. He's just a normal dude and going through some rough situations. Funny enough, I think I wrote a joke in my notes saying that this is a light-hearted version of the Joker for Neil. Uh,
Neil is a
Interesting
lighthearted version of the
comparison.
Joker?
yeah.
Which Joker?
Uh, I forgot his name, but Steven. No,
You're not thinking
fuck.
Walking Phoenix, are you?
Yes, I'm thinking Walking Phoenix.
Oh,
Well, and it's the
What's
idea
the
that like
comparison?
you're only one bad day away from being, the Joker. That's kind of what one of the underlying points of that film. So I kind of find it funny that it's in a very way it's much the same for Neil, but Neil's a good person who like when he sees Dell struggling with his luggage, he still eventually goes to help him because he's going the same direction anyway, and they're thus reunited for the bus
okay.
trip.
So it's not the
Okay. I
Joker, it's what the Joker went through in that movie they're comparing.
Yes.
Got
I'm
it.
not.
That
I'm
makes a lot
sorry.
more
Let me
sense.
clarify. I'm not. I don't think they're the same characters whatsoever, but they're playing
Got it.
around with some similar themes here.
That's very helpful. It did sound like you're like, "Oh, yeah, Neil could just wake up and be the Joker the next day." I'm confused.
I'm
Got it.
happy I clarified.
Both of them getting dunked on constantly. Yeah, I can see the parallel now.
I'm curious what, Neil at the beginning of this movie, if asked, "What do you do for fun?" his answer would be. I just think he's a guy who doesn't have fun. But he would be
See,
like, "Oh, I have fun all the time. I have
we're j-
fun
we're just
with my
not
family all the
show.
time," but he
Yeah, I
wouldn't
was gonna
have
say
an
he'd
answer.
probably just bring up his family.
Yeah, we're
True,
not
but it would
shown
be like,
anything.
yeah. I just feel like he's a guy who doesn't make fun, but the things other people around him do with him would be him counting it as fun.
That's fair. Like I don't see him being the
I think
one
he's
to
just a
suggest let's
workman.
go to he wouldn't
Yeah.
suggest he wouldn't be the one to suggest, oh, the families were all gonna go out to, an arcade together. He would go, but it wouldn't be him
He
doing
would, yeah,
suggesting
but
it.
it's not his idea.
Yeah.
But at the end of the movie now, I feel like that Neil is a completely different when asked that same question, "What do you do for fun?"
Well, I don't think he would still have an answer to that yet because he hasn't done anything.
No, but I think he'd come up with a more,
Yeah. He would be
accurate
the one to
answer.
come up he would come up with something to do with the kids. I can totally buy him enough for that.
Instead of reading the newspaper in the morning, it's now seeing my kids first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
The what was the point I was making? Oh yeah, the I think one of the more egregious conveniences is Dell running into Neil, about to run him over.
Oh, the rental car, yeah, I agree.
I think it's past convenience and into like problem territory because that it kind of pushes the story going
No, yeah,
forward.
yeah, that's plot armor written of the character interaction. I don't think that was a smooth rekindling or matching
Oh
again
yeah.
in the movie.
It's the biggest plot contrivance to get these two back together.
Yeah,
Especially
outside of them just
since,
meeting in the airport, I guess.
I mean, is it played that Dell took the V5 car rental?
I don't think so. That gets into like full thief territory if he just stole the car because they rented it out to Neil. They wouldn't have rented it out to two people.
Okay. Okay, in that case, that helps a little more. Because I was thinking, like, if Dell did get that rental one, because he brings it up. Well, no, he did. He did because he
I
brings it up
gave a
that he did it with
ring,
shower
so
curtains, and yeah, you can't buy a rental car with shower rains, and he says they used your card, so it would be in Neil's name.
but Neil wouldn't have had the ticket for it.
No, Dell would've.
Yeah,
But
so what?
when,
Why would have both of them been issued it? How did Neil get it if he didn't have his card? Because he had no cash
that's a
anymore.
great question. I don't know. Because it does, after their separation, it just cuts him getting off a bus to go get the rental vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a similar problem with that. I don't know.
I I am leaning, I think Dell
I
had the V5 car. I just don't know exactly how. Which then goes into, why would he take the rental car and drive it back to the rental place or the station where Neil is?
I don't know. I have an issue if it's the same car because the people giving Neil the ticket or whatever the slip would bring up. You need another one? You already got one earlier today, or something like that.
Or there's one already marked in your name, here you go.
Yeah, I feel
And
like that
he's like, "Oh,
causes its
my
own
wife
issue.
must have done it," or something, yeah.
Yeah, I think that causes its own issues. I think he
Bless you.
could have. I think he could have taken um, Dell's cash that he left him at the table to pay for the rental, maybe
Ye maybe?
because he said he wasn't going to take it, but he needs to somehow pay for this car, and he doesn't have his card anymore.
Hmm. Man, I'm thinking it could have been cash. This is before he gives all his cash for the other room.
And at this point, he was already robbed.
Actually, yeah. He.
He would need to take the cash on the table with him if he was to get the
How
rental
did
car.
you get that $17 then?
Could be
I mean, that
leftovers of
could have just
that.
been on him, not in his wallet.
Oh, do you think he took the cash that Dell gave him at the table when they split
Yeah,
up?
that's what
He
we're
said, "If
That's
you
saying.
what I
don't
was
want to
saying.
donate." Okay, that cash was used. Okay,
And then
that makes
the
sense
remnants of the cash would have been uh, what he gives
for
over
the
to the
other
room.
room. 17. That works.
So I guess by the end of it, do any of us think that Dell had his number 5 car? I'm saying no.
I'm still on no. I that crosses into thief territory, and it also would have we would have to have hints for that. Like, oh, whoa, you're getting a second one. Why? There would be records for that. They would. There's no way this scene plays out the way it does if Dell is the one that has the car.
I'm 50-50. I can see the possibilities of it with I think either way there are holes in the story.
Okay.
Let's go to writer.
Sure. Uh, I would think mostly lore accurate bus transportation. That is what it's like taking the bus to and from, like traveling by bus to places. But mostly people don't sing anymore. They just listen to their own iPods.
Yeah, Sprinks,
It's
does
just
that match your bus history?
I don't like my bus history, but no, not to the point of the bus travel where it's packed like that and a kid's running up and down and there's a makeout scene going on. No, none of that matches up to
Take a photo will last longer.
yeah my bits of being on a bus.
yeah. For me,
I
it does. It matches up to definitely the cross country buses like the Greyhound and stuff like that.
also feel if you're gonna PDA that much, you don't have the right to be that snarky.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Public display of affection for those who don't know what it means.
Gosh, I'm sorry. You got my in a brain fart. I was trying to remember the Winter Soldier line that Natasha gives Steve about that, but
Oh, when they're like undercover,
yeah, on the escalator.
people don't like to look or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
some
makes
kind
them
of
Makes them
more
feel
percentage of
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable.
uncomfortability, or yeah. Um, Something I found a little weird. A little. I don't know if it was just seems a little rude. Um, on the bus, Dell is eating peanuts and he's tossing the shells on the floor.
That's
That
very
does seem.
again.
I don't know if it is. He's very like people conscious, and I feel like he's well aware enough to where someone would have to pick up after him.
He's been shown to be extremely messy, so I don't necessarily have a problem with it. Though, if you, the point of it, tying to it affects somebody else, a little it helps a little bit, but also he does all these things anyway, and they affect Neal. So I don't think he cares about boundaries like that.
I guess that's fair.
So, like, okay, to kind of bring back an earlier point, right? The distinction between this and him giving, like, shorting the pizza guy a tip. The shorting the pizza guy a tip is intentionally like uh, hurting somebody in a way. This is not intentionally hurting somebody. This is just the splash zone, as it were, just being with him as a character. Because it's not malicious, is what he's doing intentionally. He's
He's
just a
just
very,
existing.
yeah, he's just existing, and he just happens to be a very messy guy, and that affects those around him.
Yes, being that it's been brought up multiple times now, I'm going back to go find the pizza fact
All
Okay.
right.
just to try to get it clarified. Dell ordered what I have here written. Dell ordered pizza and a six-pack of beer using money he takes out of Neal's wallet, which is this incident is mentioned in dialogue in the final film of the place. He only gives the delivery boy a dollar tip. The delivery boy hangs around the motel lobby, then returns and breaks into the room and robs them. Neal reluctantly eats pizza even though he asked for a salad, which the pizza place didn't have, according to Dell. And then Dell opens a beer and it sprays all of the bed sheets since he left the six-pack of beer on the vibrating bed. That is what this fact has.
Okay, so pretty much what you stated.
Yeah, you recounted that very well.
Sprinks, how do you feel about the pitched audio of Neil after the like
That
botch stuff?
yeah, that's it goes not for realistic, but it aids in the comedy, and I think it's a different form of comedy of I guess slightly potty humor with balls, and then they have a whole conversation about fondling balls later. So I think it's just another form of comedy added into the movie, which is fine for humorous reasons. I don't think it's realistic that while they've been driving, unless I don't know, it doesn't really show how far they have been driving. It just cuts away from the rental place, and if it's within range enough for the voice to still be that high pitched, I guess it's okay. Because it doesn't stay the entirety of the movie, it's just, like, that one next scene and then wears off.
Do you think it breaks the comedy of the film? Because
No.
every other joke that's shown has context. Like the skeleton, the devil, the taxi door in the airport, that's all through his POV. This voice thing, that doesn't have a POV. So this is kind of actually grounded in the world.
It is. Yeah, this isn't what he thinks he sounds like. This is what he sounds like.
Yeah, and as you said, that's not his actual voice. It's cartoonified,
Well, it's a high-pitched voice, yeah.
which stands out, I think, amongst all the other comedy in this.
Crimson, you ever been punched in the nuts and your voice goes high?
Oh, I've been kicked in the nuts, and I didn't sound like a cartoon character.
Oh, okay, I guess that's just a difference.
They artificially raised his voice. We're not arguing
They
that
do.
somebody wouldn't squeal. That's not my argument.
No, 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 but you yes, his voice is altered to be a high-pitched voice, but that's I guess not common's too low of a word, but it's a occurrence that can happen when pain in the testicles.
Okay, I think we're reaching a point where you're not fully understanding the point I'm making.
Maybe not. Do you think like are you asking is it too much comedy that his voice is high after the events?
Because I'm fine with him having a high voice, but yeah, I think it would need to be his voice. The fact that it's artificially pitched now grounds in universe that that's his voice when it's not, which is why I think it's the comedy pushing it from what's established for the comedy.
Okay. I see it as just a voice that Steve Martin was unable to do on his own. And the
Possibly.
artificial editing is funnier. Or decided upon being funnier.
Ryder, you got any input?
Uh, my input on this is that people get high pitched voices and squeal when they get hurt in the balls, but it depends on the person how like comedic they decide to take it. And if it's artificially inflated, that's disappointing. I think Steve Martin's a decent actor, but I don't know. I don't really have
I think the
a.
same occurrence happened in the first Inspector Gadget movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. But I know that comedy is way more exaggerated than this comedy.
Um, so I guess my take on it is it still works, but it's definitely like it doesn't feel real. It feels absurdist, which is fine. It's just it is just not grounded comedy, but it's still a comedy within the film.
I think it just aids to be a different form of comedy in the film, which is nice. I think it helps in a comedy movie that all the comedy used isn't the same form, because then if it's not someone's type of comedy, it isn't funny, which is a failure to the sight of that person on watching a comedy movie. But if a comedy movie has multiple forms where some people find some better than others, then I think more of a general public towards the one thing could say it's more funny or more of a comedy.
So
I agree, but it's got its limits. Like,
so
you can't have, Dell, like, reach through the television and fourth wall break. That comedy doesn't fit in this movie. Or if you had something similar to Army of Darkness where his face gets stretched, if any of these
Oh,
characters, like,
no, I'm not I
hold their finger
no, what I
long,
did
it
not
doesn't
say
fit.
what I did not say was that every single form of comedy needs to be in a comedy in order for it to come across, but the sake that this has multiple senses of comedy. I don't know how many there are. Let's say 100. This movie doesn't need all 100 forms of comedy to be able to be, like, the best comedy ever, but at least it has more than one.
I mean my
So
pick
I
for
am in
over
agreeance, yeah, the Army of Darkness comedy would be over the top for this movie.
yeah, my pick for oversaturation of comedy, I think we should probably go back to because I think we came up was Vampires Suck. That was a very much a they threw every kind of comedy that they could at the wall. So at least one joke would land with the audience at some point during that parody.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that
I
one
just
that we
thought
didn't
all
have
the
that one.
humor was sexualized.
That's that's definitely for Breaking Wind, yes. But Vampires Suck had a much wider range.
Okay. Unfortunately, I don't remember that movie well enough. Or maybe fortunately, I don't know that movie well enough.
I mean, it was a good parody. Breaking Wind, not so much.
No. Okay. Well, hope that answered your question, Crimson.
Yeah.
You know what's
Um,
absurd? You know what's
oh,
absurdist to me?
what is?
They just let him walk across the runway.
It gets to the point of I wasn't alive in the '80s and how
It
intolerant they are. I don't know.
yes. Um,
Obviously this wouldn't take place in the modern day.
this was a
I don't
different
even think this takes
no.
place in the 80s at all.
Oh, interesting. I think this takes place when it was made.
No. Sorry, I'm not talking about setting. I'm talking about how him walking across the runway wouldn't have been tolerated in the 80s at all either. I know this takes place when it's made, and that's not what I'm
Yeah,
arguing.
I'm
No,
sure it was certainly frowned upon, but I think it's a lot easier to do it back then than it is today. Airports were very different before the time of 2001.
oh, I know.
But were they different enough to allow people on the runway? And
I think,
I'm gonna say probably not,
yeah, probably
but
not, but it also depends on the airport and the sizing of it. Like, if it's not gated, it's easy to just walk upon.
I mean, they're in St. Louis. This is a pretty big airport.
yeah, it's not just some dirt runway or anything.
I can see a nick with it. I don't see it as an issue though.
No, and to be clear, I don't think it breaks the film. It's definitely a nick though. Like it's a nick for the sake of comedy.
I did like the shot of the plane behind him, though. That was
Oh yeah,
nice.
I would say it
Yeah.
is a great shot.
And doesn't look green screened or faked.
Yeah,
Looks authentic,
looks real.
which means they'd have to time that plane.
Yeah,
Question for you two: do you either of you know the Three Coins song that Neil sings?
never heard of it
I've heard a,
outside
s-
this film.
I've heard a sister song called "Toss a Coin to Your Witcher," but now this one isn't ringing any
Oh,
bells.
that's yeah. Okay. In the same boat then,
I've heard of
because
the
I don't
Flintstones.
know it. Oh, I've heard of the Flintstones. I could sing along to the Flintstones, yeah. Also, another thing of slightly changing, Neil's character is he promptly interjects to lead a public singing. That's more than just a conversation.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
one of the benefits of that scene though is there's the idea that it was probably built up to. It's more like, oh, everyone else is doing it, so maybe I can do it kind of feeling.
Yeah, because right before
he
the one finishes and they all clap.
yeah, he didn't pitch the idea, "Hey, let's sing." He
No.
jumped in while they were already doing that. Uh, Another thing that I think is a bit much for the plot to move forward is Neil just putting his wallet in the car door just so that it would burn when the car
Oh,
goes.
the glove department?
Yeah, I
I
found
agree.
that is way
I
too extra,
I don't understand the reason for it.
Yeah,
because they
it's
needed it to burn.
Yeah,
I I don't know why he wouldn't
That's
just
it.
leave it in his jacket. It's
yeah,
such
just
a
leave it in
it's
your
such a
pocket.
such a lame excuse to
It
get
would've helped if in the seat malfunctioning, things were falling out of his pockets that he had to get because his position was moving, so as a convenience, he put it in, but he just does
Any
it on a whim by
is
himself.
better than nothing.
Yeah, or if it's like a
Um, uh,
discomfort or something or
yeah, he's like, it pokes at my thigh and I roll around when I sleep or something. I don't know, but just saying,
anything would be better than nothing. Yeah.
putting it in there and
yeah.
then trusting Dell to remind him of
Well,
that.
let's be careful with that. I don't know if anything would be better than nothing, but
Not anything, but you get the sentiment.
yeah, something more to it would have been better.
Would you guys put that above a nitpick? I certainly do because it
Yes,
drives the plot.
It facilitates a lot that happens. So yes, I would put it above a nitpick.
it's above a nitpick, but I don't see it like super high because I can find it believable. It's not explained the reason.
Without reason and knowing Neil, I don't see it's believable with his character without a reason giving. But yeah, I definitely have it above a
Yeah.
nitpick.
It also not only is for the cards to burn, but also of Dell explaining that he swapped the cards because of that. Like he
Yeah,
knew where the wallet was now and had access to it. So works on two accounts more than just one.
that's true. It made it even worse. Thank you, Sprinks.
Oh, there's just more of a purpose to it. It just the setup isn't strong. So, with that, let's go to writer.
Sure. Um, this is okay, since we're kind of on the car stuff now. I like that they alternate. They still bicker. Obviously, it's not as harshly as their that first argument that their first, I guess, monologue that Steve Martin gives, Neil gives to Del Griffin. But I do like that their relationship is still very much the same. They're just more a little bit more tolerant of each other.
Yeah, I think they do a good
Yeah.
job through the film, progressing their relationship.
Yeah, this isn't so much like actual physical attacking each other with words. This is more of argumentative, like banter. It's a little lighter.
Yeah, I'd say that.
I will say though that this scene really, really damages
Dell.
Dell.
No,
Yeah.
about getting
It
his jacket caught.
Yeah. Well, okay. So first off, the part about this I do like is that he doesn't want to wake Steve Martin up or wake Neil up because he doesn't. He knows he's a burden. That he's made that very clear. So I
So the
like that
start
he.
of it is okay.
Yeah, the start of it's okay. Where it crosses the line is when the jacket gets stuck, and he doesn't just think to pull over. and just take his jacket off. This is an empty road in the middle of the night. He has no reason not
It's
to do that, and it's the
Yeah,
easiest
that's
fix in the
something I
world.
didn't know if it was a nitpick or not for me, is that the shots of the road are empty. The interstate is completely empty, and I get it's the middle of the night and everything, but then the roads aren't empty when it needs a story for the plot. Then there's a car and there's trucks.
Yeah, and
So
even
I
then,
don't know if I'm leaning it to be a nit that the establishing or the location shots of them driving are empty.
even if it's not empty, you're still allowed to do this. It's completely legal to pull over and
Oh, no,
block
of
the road when you have
course.
to. So it's still, even if the shots had the cars and the trucks in them, that's just to show that there's a few of the extra ones on the road, makes I still doesn't absolve Dell
No,
the
no, no, no,
source of
no, it
being able to
doesn't. I
pull over.
I I didn't mean to make it an excuse
It's
for your point. I'm just saying additionally
adding.
into on the interstate. Yeah. Like when all the luggage is all over the place and they have to go get it, cars are driving by. And I get that they're stationary now, so they're not going at the same pace where they wouldn't be within shot of the car, but I'm just saying, like, it just doesn't seem like the other cars are seen unless they need to be seen for some sake of the film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't.
And I could buy Dell not pulling over after the first jacket in time because he could be like, okay, I can easily fix this. The second he gets his second hand stuck, he needs to call and wake up Neil.
That's where I'm at.
The
On
Yeah,
the
freaking
second one
ties on
stuck,
the
needs to wake
steering
them up.
wheel and then screams like the second they're about to crash. Absurd.
yeah.
Way absurd.
This crosses into like he's a cartoonish character, and he is very much a. You don't really get a lot of him as a bumbling idiot, but there's definitely some implications of that. This just cranks it all past the point of believability for the sake of I I mean to put it in perspective, this scene convinced me he's responsible for his wife's death somehow almost.
Oh,
I
He's
don't
that
think
incompetent.
he's like it reaches that level of incompetence. Given that what he's remembering in the car later on, I'm I'm almost tempted to believe there's a cut of this film where he is responsible for his wife's death because he is just this level of like he gets in people's way, he ruins people's life because clearly that's something his wife yelled at him about or they argued about with how he sits on that in the car later on while he's alone in the snow. Now I'm not 100% there, but I developed that theory specifically because of how absurd this scene was.
that's a good theory to have.
Would you guys like that? That he was responsible in some part for her death?
Like's not the word I would use.
I would change a couple things if that's the direction they wanted to take the film, but I'm not against the idea if they wanted to commit to that. Because it could lead into why he is still like this, because he has no value for his life anymore. Or he has far less value of it. So that's why he treats every day as a party and why he doesn't care enough about things like this or making absurdist mistakes is because it's in a way he wants to see his wife again. So there's an angle for that. I think that could be an interesting part to make the comedic character a little more tragic, but I don't think there's if this story remains as it is, I think it's best we don't go that direction.
I would like it. They'd have to tweak things to make it feel a bit more natural during, I guess, the confession scene of her being dead or something. But
Yeah, and like I
and
said,
maybe sprinkle a bit more hints. But I think I would like that.
yeah, I think it would be a really cool addition to the character, but it would be you said as I'm not taking the film as like that. So, um, but yeah, like I
And
said, that's the
Sprinks, you
level
said
of like
Sprinks, you said you wouldn't like it, but what would you say for it? I guess.
I think it would be interesting that that's guilt that he has to work with throughout the whole time of just like on him that's why he's constantly has the photo of his wife with him and talks to her like by himself and things like that. Like that's always on his mind, and he hasn't moved past after 8 years over the fact because it's his doing. But like isn't the word I would use because I don't think that's something I would like. Of like, oh yeah, he was responsible for the death of his wife, and this is the way he is. I think it would just make for more of an interesting story towards his character over it. And that's why I think the theory is very interesting and a good theory to go with. But the sake that this nice, sweet guy is the way he is because the guilt he holds on for the death of the one he loved isn't something I necessarily would say I like, or the idea of it for that matter.
Mhm.
It definitely changes the character a lot if that ends up playing out at all.
Yeah, it explains more into an abandonment issues whenever Neil says like, "This is where we're leaving."
Yeah, yeah. I guess that's my take on that whole scene. Is like I think it goes way too far, and it does
I,
facilitate
I'm
some. It does
yeah.
facilitate some things that I do like. I do love the near death experience where we're getting Neil's POV, like he sees Dell as the devil, and his own death as a skull, pretty
Oh,
much.
it's so great.
It's
I
such
think
a
that's so funny.
it's such a quick thing, and it is very good. I just wish it wasn't wrapped up in such an absurd.
Well, that's after this
Yeah, well, no, I mean the whole scene goes together. They end up driving on the wrong side of the road.
because of the events of the yeah. Okay,
Yeah, so
I
like
can see it as it was made for the humor of like getting one arm stuck, and people are like, "Oh no, come on, Dell," and then the other one, and they're like, "Oh, come on, dude!" Like and like laughing like the absurdity of it, but it does get too far of a point of a situation of realism of what would occur, and I think just waking up Neil in this situation would have been the way to go. And then if Neil, was trying to aid and like situation occurs because like Dell's being too finicky, moving too much, and he's like, I gotta steer, I gotta drive, my feet are doing two things at once. Like that kind of like overwhelming sense of humor. I think that could have played it off a lot more believable and worked.
yeah, and my other there's other aspects that also are an issue. As far as we are shown, this road is a straightaway. They would see headlights coming towards them, or at least Dell would see headlights.
Oh, the
I mean, actually,
trucks. Yeah,
of the
but
trucks,
that's
yes,
next act, right?
yeah. But they would see, um, so yeah, they would see headlights coming towards them and everything. So there is,
Oh,
I
maybe the introductions of the trucks kind of hides that.
yeah. Well, I mean, like he would be able to see far down the road, is what I'm saying. Further down
Y-
the road than what because
yes
it's
and
implied
no.
it's a straightaway.
No, not fully. So that anyway, that's Act 3. But let's go to
Is
Crimson.
Dell the best salesman ever, or does this have the dumbest consumers? Where he's like, "These are earrings," when
Both.
they're very clearly not earrings.
I'll go with both. He's not the best, and these aren't the dumbest. But he is a pretty good salesman, and these people are pretty gullible.
I'd
I mean
say
the
a
one.
bit more than gullible and just stupid.
I mean
I
the
think
one
after
that
all the years on the road kind of thing, he knows how to talk to people.
I like the one I bought the most was the younger girls who all had like the matching earrings
This
and
Oh, it
makes
stuff.
you
makes you
look
look older.
older,
Yeah.
17, 18, or whatever.
Yeah, like see that one I bought. There are a couple questionable other ones though.
I'll say all the autograph names he's saying, I don't recognize
Yeah.
any of them.
I forgot
You
what
don't
they
recognize
were. I
Audrey
felt like I
Hepburn?
knew one of them.
Oh, one of them was Audrey Hepburn. I
Yeah.
recognize that.
Well, there you
Oh,
go.
okay.
Were they actually signed?
No,
No,
definitely not.
no,
No,
not
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 not.
not by the person. I mean, could you see writing on the
No, no,
ring?
no. I don't think that's what signed meant. Of what he was saying, not like signed signature autograph, but signed as in like the product
Maybe
of it is signed
licensing.
through that person. Yeah.
Yeah, like licensing is done.
That's what I thought he was meaning.
Hmm, okay.
No, if they're actually autographed, he should be getting way more money.
Yeah. Although as well, I guess to answer my own question, I think the consumers are just really stupid. I don't think he really stands out as an amazing salesman.
Okay. Are you like,
He is charismatic though.
yes, I'm just curious your percentage on that then.
So if the whole sale is 100%,
Of him
I'd
being the best and then
say,
being the dumbest?
well, I'd say during the whole purchase, I'd say his salesmanship would be 25% and 75% is the customer being stupid.
Okay, I see. Okay. Let's see here. I'll go to something. The mess around scene. I think that's another scene that's iconically taken out of this movie. It's also been parodied in a couple things. Um, but I think that also just shows the two characters of Neil just sleeping, wanting to get past through everything, and Dell just having the time of his life. It does kind of bring up a little bit of how Neil's able to sleep through it, but if Neil's already asleep, that's fine, then rather trying to fall asleep.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down is how is Neil sleeping through everything?
Yeah, and
Yeah, if he was
it does
struggling
go
in
into
the
more.
motel, but
Well, I think that was him trying to sleep and there was just constant noise, but he's already sleeping. And so it's like a sound sleeper thing. But my little problem to that is he is Neil is sleeping and Dell's making all this noise, playing mess around in the car, yet he doesn't want to wake Neil when his arms are stuck.
True. Also, he does bump him with his arm when he's trying to move his arm when it's locked. And Neil doesn't wake up to getting bumped in the or elbowed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is weird that Dell is now considerate of him sleeping when he just got through this whole singing sesh. Yeah, I agree.
All right. How's everyone's notes looking for Act Two?
Thinner.
Dinner. Okay. Writer? Are you
I
perusing?
am. I think I'm out, but I'm gonna do one more read through.
Okay. With that, we'll do one more each. More each. Was I'm when Neil is at the rental place and he's trying to flag down a taxi, why is there an attendant?
An
Like, I don't know if
attendant.
that's just a part of, yeah, the guy who punches him in the face. I don't know if that's just a thing of the times. Like, you ask
So
someone to help you
their
flag down a
taxis
taxi.
taxis have dispatchers. Um,
Okay, so he's just like taxis were on standby to take him.
yeah, well, taxis they just have taxis that stand by on airports, or at least they used to back in the day. I don't know if they do now because of Uber and everything else. But taxis were literally just on standby, and they had dispatchers. I assume he was the taxi dispatcher.
Okay, I guess that's something of the
I guess
time.
that would make sense.
Okay, let's go to writer then. If you found something,
Um, I do like that they show in his rage he does throw the ticket away, which then feeds into why he can't get a rental car. Like his
yeah, the reason
anger
why he's
kind of,
fucked.
yeah, he fucked himself over. Um, and I think it works in sort of kind of a lesson sense, like don't lose your chill no matter what kind of way.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is a good little detail to add. And Crimson for a final point of Act Two.
Darn, I had to. We'll do with the, I
We'll
guess,
save
the
one for the
cigarette.
recap.
The cigarette, it's back there for a long time and it's referenced. It's a little warm in here, but there's no fire happening that's visible or audible in the back. And then it just combusts, like instantly catches fire
There is a
um,
little visual.
at the worst time. Hmm?
I do agree that it does combust just by how large it grows, but there is a little bit of visual aid.
When he's talking about how hot it is or lighter?
No, later, actually in Act 3, I guess we can transition into that off of this point. And Act 3 goes from here to the end of the movie audience. But there's a part, I think, when the couple across the interstate is yelling at them and he rolls down the window, a light goes by and you can see smoke in the back seat.
Okay, then I have an issue with them not acknowledging smoke in the car then.
No, my best guess with that is when the window went down, it's the smoke's coming out. And Dell's window is cracked, which is why the cigarette gets blown back into the back seat.
I mean, you would smell it at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
burning leather.
yeah. So I do think,
It's yeah, 1 hour and 15 seconds is the small detail of the smoke in the backseat.
yeah, it's another joke at the um, what what's the word I'm looking for?
Unobservant.
I guess that's not what I was going for. Ah, man, that's gonna bug me. But yeah, it's a point against their acknowledgement, which is unfortunate.
Okay, I'll jump to what I was bringing up with Ryder earlier of the, straightaway on the interstate, they would see the headlights. The introduction of the trucks is them coming over a hill, so isn't completely straight. So but the enough for when Neil sees the trucks to identify them coming straight at him is straightaway, but then Dell's distracted by looking at Neil, and Dell's distracted by looking at the truck of the people thinking they're drunk or imitating that. So I think they're not necessarily looking straight on the road, but I don't know how much of the road was straight or if there was a hill ahead blocking the trucks. Because the couple across isn't yelling that trucks are coming.
When the trucks come across the over the hill, right? They definitely go over at a much fast. Like once that part's done, it's a lot of time goes past.
True. I'm just saying that might not be the only hill.
They
Is what
would
I'm
have
getting at.
had
So,
they would have had to make
but
that more clear visually, I think. But
yeah, all I'm doing here is knocking something that could be like an issue down to like a nitpick kind of thing. Like they're still unobservant, but it's not as terrible as it could be because of something that is shown. I am curious though why when the truck's introduction is coming over the hill, they're honking since there's
Well,
nothing.
and why they're parallel?
That's fine. That happens on drives all the time of truck
Not
drivers.
not really.
no, it's
It
very rare for that
Yeah,
long because
that's
the
no,
truck
that's
drivers know
if
to
they're
allow
passing each
traffic to go
other.
around them. Yeah.
Yeah, they need people to go around them because they are slower. It also, I guess, more on the science side of things, is worse for their gas mileage, causes more drag. But I don't think the drivers would care that much. But
No,
yeah,
I
they
don't think
wouldn't
so.
just be parallel for miles on end. That's not how that happens.
Okay. Well, I only carry so much experience with me of knowledge of it, but there have been instances where I've been in situations where trucks do that. Again, I don't know how for how long they do it, but
Oh yeah, it's not an impossibility. It's just convenient.
yeah, I think the humor is dragged on by how long it's happening and the convenience of it, but it is
Well, and the
possible.
fact that they're honking means they see Dell, which would make you believe they wouldn't stay parallel. One of them would have moved over or like followed back to move over.
Maybe.
And I'd
Also,
also
the
like to
fact that
point out,
trucks don't stop at all. So
Yeah,
well,
well,
even
that's
to
another
add
thing on the
on,
interstate, but
Dell's not watching ahead of him because he would have seen the trucks. He's also driving in the middle of the road. He's not even in the
He
correct
is.
lane if he was thinking he was driving properly.
No, and I think that's okay because he's distracted by the other driver, and we've seen previously him, like, kinda swerving the car between the 2 lanes on the interstate. He's not staying in his lane the whole time.
Well, the swerving was because his hands were stuck.
No, even beforehand when he's doing the mess around. Car goes a little off to the right, and he steers a little more left, and he's not staying within his lane. So I think being distracted and he ends up in the middle of both lanes is okay. What I did find odd though, and I don't know if you 2 caught it, and I don't know the reason for it, but the driver in the other car that's yelling at them to, like, turn around, he's not wearing his seatbelt.
He's not wearing a seatbelt,
It was the
and
'80s.
the directions they yell could be a little bit more helpful.
Well, they even changed it, and then they reverted back.
I know.
Yeah. Which could
Yeah.
aid into a little more of you, writer, of when they are screaming, "You're going to kill somebody," into your theory.
Well,
Oh,
Dell wasn't acknowledging what they were saying.
No, no, true, but I'm just saying adding more into that of writing something into the script additionally that's hinting at something.
yeah, that could definitely go into that theory. I have a visual that I liked, which is the once Neil realizes that they're driving the wrong way on the wrong side of the road, or on the wrong way on the wrong right side of the road. He has a kind of a glare in the window that comes over his head that makes it look like he has a light bulb, like he realizes what that they're saying.
Oh, yeah. That's nifty.
How could he tell they were going the wrong way? Because from what I recall, he just saw he looked at
He
the
saw
road
the
and saw
roads.
snow.
He saw the road
I
separation, is what I'm gathering that he did, but I'm not 100% sure.
He
'Cause
looked
to me,
down
it
at the
didn't
car
see
and
anything defining.
things are moving left to right instead of right to left.
Things are moving left to right and right to left. What do you
Is
mean?
that never mind, that doesn't make any sense.
That makes 0 sense. They're
That makes
driving
0
in one
sense. No,
direction.
that's alright. He's looking down the snow.
Well, I
I don't know what
mean,
that gives that
my thing for that
away.
is he saw the road dividers between him and the other
That would make se
cars.
yeah, that would make sense because that's out his window.
But they don't show that's what he's looking at. It's
Well,
just
he
him looking
I
at the snow at the edge of the road,
he assumes.
which could
Well,
have
I
been on
think
either
I
side.
that's true. I assume he saw the snow and thought that they were on the um, wrong side of the road. Or,
I mean, if he looked at the other car and realized they're both facing the same way instead of because
I mean,
one of
that's
them's
true,
supposed
but
to go the opposite direction.
they
Um,
just think the other side is the,
they don't think
um
that the others are going the wrong way. They don't even think of that.
no, they think the others are drunk, which plays into the joke of, Dell asking Neil, it's like, "How do they know where we're going?" It's like, "Yeah, how do they know?"
So I think they needed to do a better job conveying whatever he did to deduce they're going the wrong way.
yeah, it would be if there was a road divider. I think that would make things a little more clear.
Okay, I just went back to the snow thing. It it's a hard shot because of the lights, but I think there is enough in frame possibly to show that it is the divider between the 2 roads.
Why would they angle it so low
It's
to
tough though.
where it would be barely in frame? Because I'm thinking about the shot, and if it is, if the divider's in the shot, it's like at the edge of it.
It's at the top right edge corner kinda look, but
Yeah,
the
that's
light
that's
is
it's
between
not
lights is,
conveying
like,
that.
flickering.
It's not conveying that he's looking at the divider, though. It's conveying that
Are
he's looking at the snow.
gosh, I guess I would also go to other shots. Are light fixtures on interstates only in the middle?
I've seen him on the outside before.
Okay. I'm trying to think, like, if the light fixtures are only in the middle, then the lights would only be on that side of the center, which is off to Neil, versus on the other side where there are none because it's just empty, like open field.
I think this goes back to the point I'm making where they needed to do a better job conveying what happened.
Okay. Um, I guess it's a tough question. Is the skeleton bit, and I guess you can add in the devil if you want, is it funnier than the skeleton bit in Home Alone?
I would say yes, barely, because even though I think the humor in this and Home Alone are pretty similar, I think this is a lot more jarring. Uh, You, I at least I wouldn't expect that to happen here. So I
Remind
think
me
the
the
jarring
one in
nature of
Home
it
Alone.
adds to it.
Marv goes downstairs in the basement and turns on the faucet that electrocutes him, and his hair gets all frizzled, and then it like flashes white, and he's a skeleton screaming, but the skeleton still has his hair.
He still has his overall body shape though, right? So it feels like you're watching an X-ray, and then it flashes back.
No, he's this actual
No,
skeleton.
it's just a full skeleton. I don't think it has clothes on at all. It just has his
Okay,
hair.
I don't remember that. It's been a while since Home
Okay.
I
Alone.
It,
also I think that might
it
be in the second one, isn't it?
oh, is that the second one? Maybe that's not okay.
Oh, that
Oh,
explains why I
no, it
didn't.
that's right. It's in the second one. The first one is the iron falling on his face and the nail on his foot.
Okay, yeah, the second one that explains why I don't remember it at all.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the second one.
I've seen the second. I've seen the second one once.
I'm gonna go with the Home Alone one's funnier because it's someone in pain. I think it adds a little more,
This
but
is
I
definitely
think
this is pain. It's just
that's close.
existential.
I know it's just a little closer. I think that I like the Home Alone one more is like or is funnier, but the skeletons in the car is fun, just like back and forth humor. But when he looks at John Candy as a devil, that's really funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
Also,
Um,
I
I
think
guess that's just hard plastic on the dash of the car to get their the fingers indented and bending the whole steering wheel.
yeah,
I
that's
think
more
that's
absurd comedy than
yeah.
practical.
yeah, I think I don't I wish I could comment. I've only seen Home Alone 2 once. So
Mm.
I would pick this one as funnier by default purely right now because it's more memorable to me.
That's okay. I don't think it's funnier as Marv getting hit in the head with bricks about like 7 times, but
Yeah, no, the Marv getting hit with bricks was peak. That's what I remember in that film.
yeah. I also ran the math on it. Neil's watch was at least $25.50 of value.
It
Okay.
was how much?
In order to make the room with his funds, it was at least $25.50 of value.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even a Casio probably would have been enough to cover that much, but I'm sure his is more expensive. I mean, look how big his house is.
Well, you think a Casio would have covered $40?
I mean, Casios aren't dirt cheap watches. They're like your common watches. But they're not like cheap watches. Also depends on the model. I don't know what model watch he had.
Not enough to get a room
Also,
because
why
he had
wouldn't the
$2 in
Yeah.
the
room?
Casio.
I have a question. Like, why wouldn't the room be cheaper? He got a room with two beds. Why wouldn't he initially get a room with one bed?
Maybe
Oh,
this
maybe that's the
place
only
didn't
room.
have one of one bed because it
There
all
would have
looked
been a
like
line
one
for that, I
level
think.
place. Possibly, just that wanted a room. It wasn't like Gus's where he says only one room left and it was the single bed.
I guess on the topic of the motel, where did they get all the food? Because they are
I
broke at this point.
have no
Well,
clue.
how they
And we
afford
are
the
not
food
established that they carry food with them, with
no,
other
no, no.
than the
How
peanuts.
how they afforded the food, don't know. Where they got it, I know I'm gonna go with that there was a vending machine for all the Doritos, because there's a vending machine of a Pepsi machine when Dell crashes into the side of the building. So vending machines could have been within that hotel area. The drinks, though, make it seem like they're just a part of like a mini bar in the hotel.
Yeah, the drinks being the small like little shot things I can buy as complimentary.
This doesn't seem
Especially
like the
for
kind of place that would do that, but
oh,
perhaps.
it is 40. That's a whole inflation thing, but like $42 a night for a stay back in 1987 in a place that's kind of remotely in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it'd probably be like $110 or so.
Yeah, that
I'm
might
guessing. I didn't
be
run the
enough
math.
to include that.
But usually, like the mini bar or whatever the whatever you want to call it, is usually a hotel thing, not a motel thing.
True, but still a possibility. And I would guess that of course, it's separately priced items that they just did not pay for.
Well, I would lean more into the theft angle.
Well, they certainly didn't pay for their damages,
And
so I think I'm okay
would
with that.
well, that's a little bit different, I think, than stealing. Right? Would Neil actively steal? We saw what Dell
I think
has.
Neil's fine. I think Neil's gone past his breaking point.
Hmm, mm,
The stake on his face saying like "Have mercy" and then giving the watch, I think was like enough to be like, yeah, I'll take whatever I can right now.
Perhaps that's gray enough for me not to apply it to anything.
Also, I do like that there's enough time of pause of Neil getting a room, and he's essentially livid at Dell, just like you'll get your own room, whatever. But there's enough time of him in his room and he gets in bed and he's all comfort to then think to himself essentially, where is Dell? What's happening with Dell? And then he checks outside. I like the enough time and pause of the comfort of Neil, of like safety, essentially, of like that room to then get to Dell. And it's not immediate.
Yeah, it wasn't him opening the door, seeing two beds, and being like, "Yeah, I should check on Dell." Like, he was
Yeah.
fully ready just to go to bed. He had
Yeah,
so I think
he realized that
you're
his
right.
life hasn't been
Time.
interrupted in long enough that he remembered Dell's his traveling companion.
What's Dell gonna do? It's too peaceful.
Yeah. I do like that. And of course that gives the moment of Dell talking to like about his wife, which is nice. And then it immediately so it's like a slow pace situation kind of thing of like melancholy a little, and then it goes into the two of them bonding and drinking and being all goofy together.
Yeah. Kind of skipped over it, but back when the car spun out, Griffin kind of cracks a joke about almost killing them in the car, and then I love the look that Neil gives him, and he just immediately is like, "I should just get my luggage."
Yeah. Or I like that like so many things have occurred on this whole trip that when they both look at the car on fire, it's just like another thing that's occurred, like another strike of bad luck. So they like don't even really acknowledge it. It's just like in the use right now.
It's not until the wallet comes up that it's becomes relevant.
Yeah. But just them looking over their shoulder at the car on fire and they're just like, yeah, whatever. I think I find that comical.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's funny, but I just mean in the sense of like they're not like, oh my god, the car's on fire, like panicking.
Mm-hmm.
No, she's like, of course, nothing to add to the list.
Yeah. And I guess that
Uh,
also aids to what you your gray area crimson a little on Neil in the motel is he kind of loses his sanity a bit here, laughing at the expense of Dell because something's occurred to him now, problematically.
yeah, I mean, he finally got a break with his perspective, at least, of the situation. I did look up car fires and how long they tend to last. because I was a bit suspicious of it. And the average, from what I could find, is 4 to 5 hours with fireman intervention, um, but they can last up to 24 hours.
Huh. Do you know what
So,
temperature?
no, but it is an electrical fire, and those are problematic.
Yeah.
And not to mention the tires. I mean, tires burn forever,
True, but the fire was all contained within the body of the car. Didn't
which
engulf
it
it.
shouldn't have because they,
No, it should have
as far as we're
spread.
aware, they don't have fireman intervention.
No, with that much fire, it should have, gotten to the fuselage and had the explosion situation, but all I can think of is the temperature because Neil guesstimates later that it's like 1 degree outside.
What I'm getting at is they didn't have time to drive the car, and I don't think the car would drive either.
The final condition of what it's in when they're driving it, I think is fine to be able to drive, but the fire would have done more damage, if
Would
that
not
makes
have
sense.
left it in that condition. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, the fire would not
and
have
it
left it
wasn't
in that
snowing
condition,
either,
but
so that's
yeah.
not something like constant rainfall or something to cool it down.
If they compacted snow onto it, that would have been like if they started doing that immediately. They that probably would have helped, but they don't. So
Yeah. Just all these reasons to make me more curious about this 4-hour version of the movie.
Yeah, they probably would have had a scene of them trying to recover the car or something.
Yeah. Let's go to writer.
all right, that wasn't mine.
Oh,
I
it was?
well, I might have started it, which is
I
the
brought up the
look on
car
Dell's
fire.
face. Yeah. But uh, I do like that again. Uh, the sucker punch that Neil gets off. It's not abusive because it's definitely well earned, but it's getting feelings out in a way that doesn't affect the character long term.
Yeah.
They already had a verbal match. Now it's time for a physical one.
No, you could have killed a guy punching him in the gut like that.
You know that's who how Houdini died, right?
Yeah. That yeah, right. That's funny.
That is true.
Oh, is it? Oh, man, my facts are wrong.
What was the fact you read?
I thought Houdini died by trying to, like, get out of something underwater, like in a river.
No, Houdini had this act where he, it was like called the steel stomach or something, where he invited anybody at any time to punch him. But one day, some guy punched him without him getting prepped. Like uh, stuff toughening his stomach, and he got internal bleeding from it.
Oh, cool. Learned something. Didn't know that. Did either one of you know recognize the officer that pulls him over?
No, I don't recognize faces very well, so
Okay.
Um, I think I did, but I'm having trouble picturing his face right
I
now.
bring it up because he's been in something we've covered on the podcast.
like, I would say he looks familiar, but that's pretty much all you'd get out of me.
Trying to find it in my notes because I was writing like jokey reference names on all of them. Uh, who is he?
He's Mr. Green in Clue.
Okay, yeah, but I didn't pick up on that one. So many
I was just
people.
curious. Yeah. Yes, there's a lot more people in this than I I seem to forget. I mean, the Kevin Bacon one always just comes to mind, but which is ironic. Did either of you two get the joke? I thought it was quite funny that after the hit and run and they're in the car, the blinker of the car is to turn left and they turn right, and then at the next light to turn left, Dell puts his hand out to indicate.
Yeah,
I thought that was
just a
just
little,
a pretty funny 1-2.
one of the blinkers stopped working.
Let's go to Crimson.
Alrighty. Um, I guess. I'll go to the ending. Uh, the family meeting, Dell. Like I said, I think I think everything about this ending is great around Dell. I think Neil's ending is underdeveloped. As I said, the family wasn't built up enough, or his care for the family outside of his just doing the phone calls, which is good. But as we talked about, the not talk daughters stuff, he never mentions the son except, "Where's my little one? Where's my little son?" Whatever when he
Yeah,
gets home.
Neil Jr.
Yeah. So I think half the ending is great. The other half is okay. As a cohesive piece, I think it averages out to good. That's my position on it. But you guys were talking about earlier that there was something that could have been better about it,
To
so I'm
me,
curious.
I think the ending's rushed.
Well, yeah, it was like the last 10 minutes of the movie or less.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
the only unfortunate thing to me. I still get emotionally hit from the ending of Dell seeing like Neil getting home, seeing his wife, and that's like Dell being like, I accomplished my friend now being with his wife, and he doesn't have one. And he's being a part of the family, and Neil being the one to like invite him in and introduce, like that's still in the music playing. That still gets me emotionally. Like that's very nice scene, but to that scene feels choppy in bits of the realization Neil has on the train, talking to Dell in the train station, them walking together to the house, and then being in the house. Those four scenes feel, um, I guess, bumpy and not transitioning well or smooth, which makes that feel rushed.
I'm I'm in the part it's rushed, but I feel like it's because it's missing something. I feel like I was thinking about what I would want to add to this outside of obviously the family stuff, but like what's the scene I could, assuming the family stuff was all fixed, what's the scene I would add? I would add the scene that where Dell is telling the story of their visit here to the kids to kind of show that um he's not a bad storyteller. That was said in the heat of the moment from Neil earlier in the film. So like when they're all eating dinner together is kind of my idea. So the last shot is them like us backing out as like the camera zooming away of them all around the dinner table, and we're like leaving the house before we um, cut. So
Go credits, yeah.
yeah, I do get the sense that it's rushed. Um, I do, but it's not necessarily because I didn't necessarily get that feeling because of the previous stuffs being disjointed. I got it more from the character payoffs felt a little undercooked, mostly with in Neil's case, and I felt like Dell was almost good enough to be perfect, but like it was still missing just a little bit of a touch to finish up the story. So
I think of the four pieces, or I guess you could say even with the train beforehand when they say goodbye. So the train saying goodbye, Neil on the train, them talking in the train station, them walking up to the house, and then meeting the family inside. I'd say seeing them or Neil going back to the train station and seeing Dell sitting there, I would have liked more there. I think if one of
What
those I would
more?
add more to, I would add that more of Neil inviting Dell to his house. I know it's all within context that that's where they're going, but it seems like that is just to explain why Dell has been how he is for the last 8 years. And I can already tell people in the audience would be like, no, it's perfect. It's absolutely gorgeous the way it is. It's paced so well. I can see that argument. Um, but it just feels like Neil. I mean, the answer already of the show in Not the Tell is Neil hearing Dell's story out, and the next cut is them walking to his house together. So the invite's already given in context. But I feel like I'd like more of Neil answering back or back and forth a little more with Dell over the reason why he's there. But again, the context is already there because he pretty much solved it and came back to find Dell. But again, it's all through show, and I do like that it's all through show, but I just think more character situation could be had in a conversation a little stronger in that train scene.
Well, let's go back to the point that we had in Act One of why Bella's even here, because even uh, oh no, I just Neil, even Neil's like, "Well, what are you doing in here?" We don't really get an answer to that. He's like, "I don't have a home," was pretty much his answer. This would have been a great opportunity to have a connection to was it Marie?
I think
Uh,
it's Marie.
Marie.
Yeah.
Um, he could say, "Well, this is where Marie and I met each other," or some connection to her to Chicago, and then we could have Neil have some connection between that and his own wife, and then that could feed more into the back and forth that you're looking for. Might
Yeah.
pad the ending a little bit.
Would have been more Do you think it would have been too corny or too sappy if it was like Thanksgiving, like a line was like Thanksgiving's all about family and your loved ones, and Chicago reminds me of my wife kind of thing?
I would probably say that's a bit too corny because I don't think this
Like
is a
Chicago's
Thanksgiving
attached to
film,
her.
and I don't think the story around this should revolve around Thanksgiving. I think it should just be the family thing. Using Thanksgiving as the connector, I think might be a bit much.
Oh, well, I think Thanksgiving is a good overall message connection of found family with Dell and Neil.
I mean, the family aspect sprouts from Thanksgiving, but using Thanksgiving over just family, I think it's what would make it into the cheesy, corny
Oh, okay.
aspect. I don't know, what Ryder, what do you think about these additions?
Um, I think they can work. Again, a lot of them just I would want to tweak something to go with it to make it work because I think we're all in agreement the ending is underwhelming in some form or fashion. It's just a matter of what I think we're all differing on. It's just like the particulars we want to add or to fix or to make better because it's still a good ending. It's just missing a few key elements.
Yeah, it's a good ending for a movie that I think deserves a great ending.
I think that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try to rephrase it. That was excellent.
Um, okay, with that, I'll go into a little thing that I was curious on. Um, After the car gets impounded and Dell comes up with the milk truck and says, "Oh, I found a way. We'll get there." Why was Dell allowed to sit in the cab of the truck if the driver was like questionable of people sitting in the cab? That's the reason why they're in the back.
For the movie, so that Neil could see that he was pulling up in the truck. In universe, the driver wouldn't have done it, and it just creates this weird hypocrisy and inconsistency from something so minor.
Okay. Okay. I guess I have that as a nick then.
Because in the movie, you would have had the truck pull up, and Neil probably wouldn't have looked at it because why would he? And then we'd have to focus on the truck, and then the back door opening for Dell to come out, and it's it's not good flow, I guess.
No, I can see ways around it because to me what they have is silly or like too silly of an explanation of like, "Oh yeah, I'm in the cab truck," and then it's like, "Oh, we can't be up here even though I was just in here." But maybe if he's like holding onto the back of the truck kind of thing and holding it and he goes, "Oh, there he is," and the truck keeps driving and he like keeps yelling at him to stop. Could add some humor, or uh, Dell is with Neil just pacing back and forth, and Neil's like, "What are you waiting for? The car's impounded. What are you doing?" And Dell goes, "I made a phone call or something." He goes, "Who the heck did you call out here?" And then the truck comes around, and Dell's like, "Oh, there he is." Then just like other ways to add humor because I think it was a humor aspect that they're going for again with like, "Oh yeah, the cab driver is very specific," but write it differently in a way that
Yeah,
would flow better.
I pretty much agree with all of that. I don't have anything to add.
Okay. With that, then let's go to writer for a point.
I'm starting to run low here, but I do like the conversation with the cop. It's like they're trying to bullshit their way past it, and the cop just is very calm, which I like. He doesn't immediately like accuse them of anything. He's just like, your car's gonna get impounded. This it's just it's
Yeah,
very, very
of
straight. There's
course.
no yeah.
Another thing to stop them. Yeah.
Yeah. But this one is obviously there's a lot of support behind it. Like it makes sense why they were stopped here.
Do you two like the joke that Dell says the only thing not broken is the radio, and the radio like works perfectly, yet Dell and um, Neil were singing a song together without the radio?
What's the question pertaining to that?
Like, do you think the radio was working?
Oh, it's possible, but it could just be Dell embellishing the situation and making it funny for the cop. Hard to say.
Okay. I just found it interesting they weren't singing along to a song on the radio. They were just singing a song without the radio.
Yeah. Well, and working could just mean it turns on and you can see the time, not
That could
necessarily
be
the
it.
music
Yeah,
plays.
that could also
So,
be true.
not enough info. I can see it go either way, where he's just embellishing or if it actually does work.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same again. I'm in the same boat where I can see it's just him embellishing, or maybe they also just didn't decide to put on the radio because they are friends. They could just sing songs randomly together.
No, I can believe that, especially after the bus
Plus,
travel. Yeah. So, I brought up earlier during the conversation argument in the hotel room, towards the beginning about like all the acting of John Candy was in his eyes for that. I bring it up now as well at the train station when they're saying goodbye. All the pain and feeling is in John Candy's eyes of like understanding Neil needs to get back to his family, but also with the context later that Dell is now alone, not to see his wife or like his wife's gone. So it's like not just like a goodbye, like, "Oh, I'll see you around, hopefully see the family sometime." It's like now he's back to being alone. But it wasn't as accusatory or mean earlier on at the diner for the lunch thing where they should split ways. This is more a nicer, like they're actually friends now, goodbye.
Hmm.
So I just again the thing with the acting in the eyes, I think John Candy did very, very well throughout this film.
well, yeah, and I think his character grew a bit here because a couple times it's brought up that he wants to know Neil's address so he could potentially visit on his own accord. And Neil never gives it to him. But at this moment, he doesn't ask. He just accepts that this was a good friend at the moment, but that's all that it might have to be. But he's still upset about it. Or sad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quite like
Uh,
the Neil after the scene's over and like their reluctance to kind of part ways, and then Neil obviously focuses on his family first. It's all the flash of the memories that he's getting, and then obviously it transitions over to the company he
The
no longer
lunacy.
has.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ridiculousness of everything that happened, and then that transitions into uh, I wonder what he's going to do. I wonder if he's got a wife, and then he's like, I wonder if he's gonna go see his wife, and then
Do you
he's eager
think
to go home or something like that.
yeah, that was one of the points to ask the two of you. Do you think Neil had enough information to try to piece together?
that was going to be my next question. Did he have enough info, and what triggered him to contemplate it? What I think that's the bigger issue I have with it. But
Uh,
I think
I mean,
he has enough to piece it together. I just don't know what led him to think about it to piece it
I think he
together.
has enough to concernly question it, and I think what turned him around is he didn't know where Dell was going. Dell never said this is why he's here, where he's been going, which is the question we've brought up. But Dell just said goodbye and has been following Neil this whole time.
yeah. I mean, like again, I think the all of that blends into the the flashbacks he gets because you see that he's thinking of his family and what he's looking forward to, and then that transitions us to the absurdist of the journey, and then that transitions into, I wonder what he's going to get up to. I wonder if he's going to go home. It's like, I've never been home in years, and he's, it starts putting those pieces together that
Thinking of the
something's,
words that Dell said.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's starting to think something's off. So I don't know if he put it all together, but I think he has enough to, for me the trigger makes sense that he thinks something to start thinking about Dell, that something might be off, and that's what
Yeah,
propels him to
because the
go back.
question he asks, I can in the train station is to Dell like, "Why are you still doing here?" Versus like, "When was the last time you saw Marie?" or something.
Yeah, he picks up something's off, but he doesn't know exactly what. And Ryder, with how you laid that out, I guess I'm okay with him piecing it together. Because
Yeah,
my bigger thing was, I think he has the pieces. I just don't know what would cause him to connect them. But you laying it out like that, I think, is enough.
yeah. Like for me, like for how I figured how it was triggered for him is just that like he went through like what he's looking forward to, his family, and then he started, that transition to what he lost with Dell, and then because he thought of his family, he was thinking about Dell and how he referred to, Mary and his family. He started picking up clues that way. That's kind of just, at least for me, that's how I took it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 How's everyone's notes looking? Things coming down. Maybe Crimson will go back to that Act Two one he didn't have.
I'd have to refine that. I don't remember anymore. Never mind. I remember.
Ooh, what a fibber. But Act Three notes looking low.
Yeah, pretty low.
Oh, I'm pretty low. Yeah, I can probably scrape together one or two more. I'm gonna skim real quick.
All right. I think we'll do one more each. But Crimson, if you'd like to get your Act Two one in as well, you can.
All right. I guess I'll do that. And it's a short one. And that's just the convenience of the train breaking down in the first place. Everything has to go wrong.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
pretty convenient.
it's convenient, but hey, it happens.
It can happen. It's just
I also
convenient
got
that it did.
the conductor telling him he told him the city, but he didn't say the state, so I had to look it up. When he said if you
Hmm.
go down, like someone will drive you to Jefferson City, that's in
Jefferson.
Missouri. So they are getting closer.
Yeah, and he said it was like a mile or a mile and a half walk to get there.
Yeah.
That is something that this movie did pretty well that we've talked about in other movies, and that's geography.
Oh, yeah, the geography and distancing. I think very well.
Lots of time frames provided, lots of locations provided. So I think they did pretty good on that.
I believe I shared with the two of you like
Yes, you
a
did.
map. Yeah, a map of the road trip essentially of travel, which I think we'll put on the Instagram. Uh, so
Probably. Yeah.
okay. That makes a lot more sense. I was reading that in context with one of your previous messages.
oh, my mistake. No, that is a map of the road trip that they went on essentially.
Yeah, I mean when you say that, I mean I read that in context with your previous message from that, just to let you know where my headspace was. I was so confused.
That would seem random.
Yeah, it would seem a
Oh,
little bit
you
random.
know what? That would seem random. You're
Yeah,
absolutely right. Yep. Nope.
I was worried, like, oh, are you planning to go out that way? I didn't know that they were out that way. Sorry, audience, that's being vague because it was personal stuff. Um, let's see. I guess my final point uh, is the reveal scene. I didn't really talk much about it, but I think they do tone really well here for the reveal scene of when they admit that he tells Neal like what that his wife's been dead for 8 years. I like that there's no joke. They take the scene seriously, and a lot of comedies struggle to find that balance.
You're right. I think if this was a Marvel movie, they would have thrown a joke in right there.
Yeah. And No, I think the elements of seriousness for the drama aspect of this film in a movie that's full of comedy cements more of the tone of the seriousness for it, and I think they did it very well as well.
My last nitpick, not even a nitpick, my last like little bit is that I really liked the Dell growing nervous as they're approaching Neil's house.
Yeah, he says he'll just come in and then he'll be on his way.
Yeah.
Just say hi to everyone and leave.
Yeah, on Thanksgiving. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. I don't know what house you'll go to that will have that happen. That
Did we need the like parents or grandparents or whatever
I think
there?
so. That's fine. We don't
It
need
makes
them, but it's fine that they're there.
it makes it feel like, oh yeah, the whole family's here for Thanksgiving. That's I feel like that's the reason they're there.
Okay.
And it cuts a little more of the tension with just Dell being there with essentially the wife and the kids. It's more of like a family gathering, so it's more acceptance, I think, a little less awkward to it. Last point I will go with is at 1 hour, 24 minutes, and 53 seconds when they're walking in the street with a trunk is my favorite shot in the movie.
Centered
It's a,
beautifully.
it's a simple
Yeah,
shot,
I
but
think it's
it's good.
centered well. The location behind is simple. The characters are presented well. The trunk is like the item that's been throughout the movie. The trunk was essentially in the movie before Dell was. Uh, so I just the look of it, the coloring of it, it's my favorite like lined up shot.
I'm curious how far they had to carry that because we don't really know where the train stop was, but
Where the train stopped,
True.
where the
I don't
bus
know.
got off.
I would imagine that's a pretty heavy trunk.
Well, Dell is able to move it by himself, but it's easier with two people. So I'd
Oh,
say
he
it's yeah.
drags it. So I guess my point is it's an ongoing topic on the podcast with me, and that's like
Color theory?
flashback. Hmm?
Is it color theory?
No, the flashbacks in the movies.
Whether they get
Um,
to you or not.
yeah, um, this one was solid. I didn't really get emotional with it, but it was good, well constructed.
I like that this one has no coloring. Like it's vivid memories or depictions of what
Mhm.
he's thinking. It's not all like sepia tone or something.
Yeah, and I think they did well with it. I could see people getting emotional with it, though I was not one.
Yeah, someone can shed a tear when they see that cherry pie.
It's so delectable.
Or
I
that
wouldn't think
that
that.
that turkey looks like from a Macy's catalog.
It does.
Yeah.
It looked a little too fake. Like that looked too perfect.
I mean, it's his
But then again,
So
that's like
imagination.
what your head that's what your head thinks of.
Susan is that good of a chef.
You know what? Could be.
No wonder he's so desperate to get home.
Yeah. I also like that she's such a loving wife that when he gets home, she's not mad at him for not calling. She doesn't like joke with him or like, pester and then hug him or something. She's just relieved
Yeah.
More on
and
that.
thankful.
I like that she's not like, "Who's this? Why'd you bring this guy here?" She's
Oh,
just
that's
inviting.
yeah, it's so
Yeah.
touching. Just like,
Yeah.
"Hello, Mr. Griffith.
Well, you
Hello,
have to
Mrs.
remember too.
Page." Just oh,
You do have to remember that then Neil talked about Griffin to her. He's like, "Yeah, I stayed at a motel with a stranger." So she knows that
Yeah,
he's
but she
yeah,
still
with
could have
but she
questioned, "Why is he here?"
true, but
yeah.
she also knows Neil from the Neil at the beginning of this movie, that guy. So the fact that this guy has a stranger come to his own house says a lot about how Neil sees Dell through her eyes.
That's true. That also is a factor. It's beautiful. Again, it's a good ending for what I should have been a great one.
Yeah. And Crimson, did you have I can't tell if that was your last point. You're done.
Yeah, that was my last point.
Okay. Um, with that, then let us go to summaries and ratings of the film. Um, let's start with the first timer. Let's start with writer.
Oh boy. Um. All right. I'll do my subjective first, as I tend to do. Um. I I enjoyed myself. Not as much as I was expecting for a comedy, and that's maybe it's the comedy just didn't land with me most of the time. But that being said, it is a very sweet story. I think I wasn't hooked into the film until the first argument in the inn, where well, I keep saying an argument. It's not really an argument. It's Neal ranting at him, and what I liked. I didn't really go into dialogue too much, but there's other aspects of it that I really liked. I liked that Neil drags because immediately Dell tries to take the high ground for the argument, and I like that Neil doesn't let him stay there on the high ground. And what happens over the course of that argument, it forces Dell to step up into the high ground again because he does get pulled off of it. And that's one of the things I really liked about that scene, and that really what I think hooked me for the film and kind of solidified like, okay, this is going to be what I'm here for the rest of the movie. And I do think the film pays off a lot of those feelings. And I've talked a little about the ending. Honestly, I'm sitting at a solid 7. I I can see myself watching this movie again. It's I can see myself picking this movie again, just not immediately. Objectively, we've got some issues. Um, I will say that the world building is fantastic. It's mostly grounded in our world. There's a few little nicks potentially to that, but none of them are egregious, and so it wouldn't take away much from the world building part anyway. Um, I think the plot has its conveniences and contrivances. Dell just happening upon where Neil is after getting the car. I think there's definitely some plot armor in the way that they survived the two trucks going parallel. The trucks stayed parallel for a very long time. Um, there's uh, the issues with the fire. There's the with like how long does it take? They would smell the smoke, etc. Um, and it's a lot of little nicks like that that I think definitely hurt the plot. Um, the characters have a nice set of character traits. I do think they get exaggerated to cartoonish degrees. Um, the only point where it reaches a breaking point where I think a character is broken is during the scene where Dell doesn't pull over to get his sleeves off his jacket, and that scene almost essentially kills them, and made me develop an extra world theory. Um, but I think overall the characters are intact with the plot taking some significance. I've been bouncing between a 7.5 and a 6.5. I'm gonna land on the upper end of that. I'm gonna say it's an objective 7.5 for now. I do think the character stuff really holds it up, and the at least the understanding of the stakes in the world building, just the need to get home, being a simple story, is good enough. There's a bit of a mystery element that I think was written particularly well with Dell, and there's obviously a part that wasn't, being that we don't really know why he's there in the first place. But I do like that the reveal and the setup that his wife has been dead for 8 years. They do a good job with that. So objective 7.5.
Well, now you got me curious, Ryder. Being your first time, did you pick up on it, or was the reveal
Oh,
a reveal to you?
no, I picked up something was wrong, and I wrote my guess after I haven't been home in a while. I'm just went, oh, wife is dead.
Well, that's a pretty good guess.
Yeah, my two guesses were wife is dead or they're divorced or separated.
I find
That
it interesting that your objective you were laying between a 7.5 and a 6.5, and you couldn't decide, so you went with the higher 7.5. Seven's right there in the middle. If you
Yeah,
like,
I like I said,
okay.
I'm going with 7.5 for now because I'm thinking I'm still weighing things in my head, so this is subject to change by recap potentially.
True,
but
and a first time viewing.
yeah, and it's my first time viewing, so I'm gonna give it a higher. I'm gonna err on the 7.5. There are things that I think
Unless our
potentially,
ratings lower it.
yeah, yeah, you guys might do that. We'll see. I might have forgotten a few things to factor in. So
Okay. Uh, with that, let's go to Crimson.
All right, I will go with my subjective. As stated, I've seen this a few times, and it, the comedy is solid. Nothing that's like laugh out loud funny, but it is still funny. Yeah, it's got good emotional beats. The ending is still satisfying, though not, I think, up to its full potential, as we discussed. It's a solid 7. It's a good movie. One I will certainly watch again. Objectively, uh, I think most of its issues are pertaining to this the writing. I think the camera work is good. There's some good creative shots. We talked about the POV of looking through the room and then into Dell's face. We also have the POV of him getting grabbed by the nuts. Uh, there's just some fun stuff with that. The lighting is, I think, pretty basic. They don't really do anything too crazy with that. The acting is good to great pertaining to everybody. I don't think anyone lacked in the acting department. I think everybody was satisfactory. In terms of the writing, I think Dell's purpose to going to Chicago is one of the bigger issues I take with it because it's a pretty core component. And they had a great opportunity to flush it out at the end, but they didn't do that. And it makes it all very convenient then that he took a plane to an irrelevant place to him, as far as the audience is aware, just a random plane ticket to Chicago. Um, so I think that's an issue. And I think this movie has a lot of conveniences, of which we discussed a lot of, so I don't need to go too much into it. Dell is pushed too far into his comedy, especially with the car stuff of the cigarette, getting stuck with his jacket, not seeing the trucks in front of him. A lot is pushed too far, I think, to the established comedy they have in this. Uh, Neil, I think he takes a hit a bit with the daughter's performance and not having talked about it earlier. Because without talking about it earlier, there's not much impact for the audience to show that he cared all that much about it, which they try to convey he does, but without it being established, doesn't feel like it. The condition of the car after the fire is not realistic. Not necessarily that this film is realistic, but I do think they try to be. So I think uh, that's an issue with that. Um, and I guess that's most of the writing beats. We talked a lot about the ending being good but not great and what could make it better. But with all of that, I am also at a 7 objectively.
Well, just a 7.
Flat 7 on
Okay.
both.
Okay. Interesting. That leaves me. I'm going to go with my objective first. I think the acting in this movie is very good amongst all, but I think John Candy is the best actor in the film. I think the lighting, I'm trying not to repeat everything Crimson just said. I think the lighting's pretty good. Um, I'll go to the costume department. I do like the costume design that um, Dell does change outfits because he has his trunk and like clothes to go through. But Neil just was going to get on a plane ride to Chicago, and that was it. So he's in the same outfit that's deteriorating over the course of the whole movie, and I think that's just a nice little detail to go with.
I've been wearing the
Um,
same underwear since Tuesday.
yeah. Uh, the Thanksgiving always falls on a Thursday, right?
yeah,
Okay. Okay. So that just helps with time thing. Um, I think the writing of dialogue is pretty strong in some parts, like very nicely done. However, it's unfortunate that some of those aspects of writing for the characters and dialogue is a little damage hit of a weaker writing to the world and whatnot, of just more conveniences and sakes that occur on this whole adventure and journey. Um, Now, some of it is written for the joke and comedy, and the comedy does hit, but it is at a detriment of everything else around it, which is unfortunate that it can't be smoother. Um, so, unfortunately, that doesn't make it perfect. The camera work, I think a lot of camera work is very good in this movie. I can't think of really a camera angle that was bad. We talked about the one of the snow on the interstate going backwards, and you should see the dividers, but it's not like the best shot to show that if that's what they're portraying. Um, so that's one that just comes immediately to head, but there are, like, a couple, like, okay shots, I guess, in that vein. I think most of it's good, and then there are some great shots. I really like the pan from the single bed to Dell's face. I really like them walking at the end with a trunk. I like the tracking shots of Kevin Bacon and Steve Martin running down the street in New York. So I think a lot of the shots are actually really good. Um, Shoot, what else am I forgetting? Probably something, because I always forget something. Um, Overall of this movie, I think when I finished it yesterday, I wrote down an 8, but the conversations of, like, all the conveniences and stuff that is brought up has tacked more into the writing more so that was overlooked, I guess, for me, so I have it at a 7.5 objective. I wish again, I think my biggest saying, if I could change one thing in this movie, is give it a great ending instead of the good one that it has. Um, Subjectively, this is very entertaining. This is something I'd want to probably do, like, a Thanksgiving, like, every year kinda watch. It does feel kinda homey a little. It feels like getting home to the holidays, getting home to family, which is kind of the message of this whole film, to get to that point for Neil, but also for Dell to make a family, like, make a friend, and how that works, and, the comedy works, but also the serious nature of it is very enjoyable. Um, and it didn't get it enough to push it a point 0.5, but coming off of the John Candy documentary I saw recently does help this movie give me, like, a little more nugget of likeness to it. So I'm sitting comfortably at an 8.5 subjectively.
Ooh, hefty. But
I
I'm
do like
objective
this movie
best.
quite a lot. Yeah. And I do like Steve Martin a lot as well. So it's not just John Candy himself.
I'm probably alone on this. I'm not a huge fan of Steve Martin. I like him, but he's definitely more uh well loved in my family than necessarily from me specifically.
Yeah,
That's
he's
okay.
fine. He's not like a cell, like, I have to watch this movie because he's in it.
No. Um, I like that they seemed fair amongst the two actors in this movie. It didn't look like John Candy overshadowed Steve Martin, or Steve Martin
Oh yeah,
overshadowed John Candy.
yeah. I'm not saying that. I think they did a great job balancing off
Yeah.
of each other.
I know that was a big fear for Dumb and Dumber, that, oh, why am I blanking on his name?
Jim Carrey,
No, the other guy,
not Jim Carrey.
uh,
Guy
Jeff
from
Daniels.
101 Dalmatians live
Yeah,
action.
yeah, Jeff Daniels thought he was gonna be overshadowed by Jim Carrey in his performance for that movie, and a lot of his agents told him not to do it, but I think they did well in that too, so it was a good comedy pair. Now, I know Ryder's gonna ask, "Is that all?" And I'd like to ask one thing before we get to a send-off, if that's
Oh
okay.
boy, I know where this is going.
Unfortunately, I didn't take the time to go back to last year's to see what we said, so there might be repeats. But could we all give one thing we're thankful for?
I do remember you bringing that up last year, and I also don't remember what the answers were.
Ditto for me. Don't remember what the answers were.
Great. Maybe we'll find out by the time of recap and see if any of us repeated. I'll go first if it makes it easier. Give you time to think.
I mean, I have one, but it's not really podcast related. I'm trying to think of one that's podcast related.
Well, I'll go first
And
anyway.
Springs, go ahead.
I'll give you time. Yeah. I'm thankful for good movies. For movies that make you feel good, that you can share with friends or family or loved ones, to get a interconnected experience and, um, emotion with, kind of thing, that I think a lot of art forms can do. I'm not taking down other art forms by me saying this, but I am thankful that a film or an experience of either watching it in your own house or a movie theater or a screening outside situation like a drive-in, just a collective of people can partake in something created by multiple people that expands multiple people in different ways and forms. And I think I'm very grateful and thankful for that.
I'm grateful that we are still doing this for the podcast because it is fun to break down good movies, but it's also fun to break down bad ones. And that's something I quite enjoy on this podcast is the variety of things we break down, whether it's good, bad, somewhere in between, something unexpected. Uh, I find fun in pretty much all of that. So
No,
that's
I
what I'm
agree.
thankful for.
I'm gonna
Those
get the
middle
sappy
movies I
one.
think are the toughest ones.
Yeah,
They can be.
yeah. I'm gonna get the sappy one out of the way. My life's been really chaotic, so I'm honestly just grateful for the stability of having this and you guys still in my life. um,
Oh,
yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's happy.
Yeah. But in kind of a little bit of both, I love the different forms of expressionism that we get in art because art is so important to the human condition and just understanding people because movies, good or bad, can give you windows into people's lives and make you understand people from a different perspective or help teach you empathy or multiple other things that can be pulled out and derived from both good and bad art. And that's, I really love that. So,
Wow, I'm slightly touched that all three of us found a way to almost say the same exact thing differently.
I know, right? We're
well,
all
that goes
very
for the
good.
point, right?
All right, well, gentlemen, shall I read us out?
Yes, and so they don't feel left off. I'm thankful for the audience too.
Let us know what you're thankful for, audience, and it does not have to pertain to the podcast.
No, it doesn't. It would be interesting if it was, but it doesn't have to. Okay, writer, you are good. Sorry.
All right. No, it's all good. Thank you, audience, for listening, whether it be Spotify, Amazon, Castbox, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, Pocket Casts, and Samsung. And if you have to be on our visual side of things, be it YouTube or Rumble, thank you for watching our PNG Duper slideshow there. Uh, Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe everywhere. Tell us how much you hate our opinions or how much you love them. And as always, I've been a geeky writer,
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Sprinks.
and we will catch you next time. Later, everybody.
Bye.
Toodaloo.